Let me know if that is too loud for you all who are close to. Yeah, so we moved some things around. Today, we will begin with a review of funding levels, which I can go over. We'll take a look at the category wall over there. And just take some time to talk about what we're noticing, maybe some areas where we want to focus on today. And then we'll dive into continued application review and deliberation, and we'll kind of use a consensus or like a voting based model to discuss applicants moving forward. That way we can really focus on our discussion on applications where there's agreement.
I'm just trying to make sense of what I'm looking at.
We also have extension cords. And then before the final vote, we'll have opportunity to talk about any of the applicants that have been preliminarily approved so far, and then we'll do the final vote. As far as board business, I believe we got that all done yesterday afternoon, so we might be able to get out of here shortly after lunch. But we do have a mandatory little celebration for our board members who are leaving. So yeah, we just want to take some time to appreciate them, as this is our last time all together as a group. So please stay for that if you're able. Any questions about today's agenda? Awesome. Okay. I was able to send out last night just an overview of where we are so far with approved funding, but I can just briefly go over that now. So based on, would one of you all be able to just click OK? It should be a touch screen. Yeah.
Okay, this is fine.
That way we can see it. So I've been keeping track of just preliminarily approved applications so far, and we are at about 1.3 million, which is a little bit over 65% through our total available funding, which leaves about 683,000 or so available. I can just run through some of the materials that I shared yesterday. That way, if you didn't have a chance to look at the email, we can take a look now. So these dark maroon dots are all 54 of those organizations that we received full applications from. And then Selena has been doing a good job of keeping track of where the applications are that have been approved so far. So that's this map here. Yeah. And otherwise, for online folks, I did send it out to everybody. We do have a digital version of our sticky notes that we have here on the wall. So online folks, I'll share that again, but you can follow along there and it should align with what we have here. I shared that in the chat. Is there anything else that is helpful to folks before we jump into the conversation that would be good to show, or any remaining questions that you all have? there's a lot of trainees in the building today. So there may be a lot of activity going on. Okay, I will leave this map up being shared. So you all can use the map, use the categories on the wall. We'll just take, let's say, 4 to 5 minutes to reflect silently. Feel free to get up, move around the room, take a closer look at those categories that are on the wall or online. I'm happy to zoom in or each of these dots, and you should have this in your email as well. Hi, good morning, Frida. Have more information about the organization if you click on it. So it will tell you what type of organization it is, the amount requested, and then a snapshot of their proposals. And you should all have that in your email. So also a timer for, let's say, 4 minutes, and just take that time to do some reflecting and come back ready to share what you're noticing, and perhaps where you think remaining funding could focus.
We just have a quick question. We approved, I think, 4 organizations for Eastern Plains, but it's not pinned. Is it just because their office isn't technically in Eastern Plains?
Yeah. Yeah, so the La Junta one, this one, and then
Northern one is based out of Greeley.
yeah, she's for independent.
And then there was
Good
a
question.
two that, one is in Crested View.
Yeah.
And then the other one is that Bits of Freedom, which is in
And they're-
Pueblo.
Okay. Yeah. It's in
the same room as yesterday. Okay, about 1 minute left. Are folks ready to discuss? Okay. I'm gonna go to our online folks first. Any things that you all are noticing or areas that you would like to focus some funding on for future discussion? Omar, let's hear from you. I think maybe that dropped off. Okay, anybody in the room?
I wanted to, find a group that focused on Black.
I guess kind of like a lead us looking at the applications. I think the one that is not written within them, probably Groundworks Denver is the one that probably served the most too.
Yeah, we'll hold off on naming
Okay.
actual applicants and just
Okay.
Things out. Geographic areas, categories, focus areas.
Can I bring one up that's not like a listed
Yeah.
thing? I would really think about like workforce development pieces as well as thinking of that as like a priority area kind of looking forward to. And so just thinking of like, going through last night, there was only a couple, and I won't say organizations right now, that are really geared towards that. And I think that could be something that's really important to consider.
Definitely. Workforce development.
I'll flag a geographic area, the lower, like the very southwest corner of that Durango, I mean, also San Luis Valley, which there is one to consider there. But then there's a few from that kind of Durango southwest corner area, which a couple of them are too. But just that we do have applications from that area to consider. Whereas like some, like, Port Trinidad, we don't have any applications there, so that's sort of the focus of communication in the future to encourage applicants.
Thank you. Any other areas that you all are noticing? Or want to name?
American Indian, probably one organization actually directly served in the north. Northwest too.
Okay, so Black and African American communities, workforce development, Durango, Four Corners region, and also just the whole kind of south of the state, American Indian, Northwest. Did I miss one? What community said? Yes. Okay. Great. So we have some time for just some quiet review of your own reviews or even applications that you didn't review. Each person will be able to select 2 applications. And then we'll sort all of those together and we'll discuss applications based on how many people brought that certain applicant forward. So we have about 20 minutes scheduled for this. You all can take up to 20 minutes, but I'll kind of track and see who has turned in their votes to me. So definitely take your time if you'd like to go back and read applications, if you'd like to. And let me know if you need any resources or have any questions about any particular applicant.
But I can't go back to just.
You can, but I sent this out to everybody, so it'll be that email I sent, when was that, Tuesday?
Oh.
Mhm.
And we're not able to go back to the original spreadsheet that I tried to log in and
That's what I'm talking
Oh,
it's,
Um,
just to look, reread their application and things like
Yeah,
that.
that's what I
So-
was asking about. Don't they have the packets?
yes, so Selena downloaded all of the applications into Google Drive. But I can make it available on SurveyMonkey Apply if you prefer. I understand that. That's what you've been working in, so. it might
Yeah, I
be
mean,
easier.
don't
Yeah.
throw out too many options.
Sure. I just have to change the setting, but I can.
Is your individual score sheet, is that the one? No.
Yes.
Oh, for reviews.
Those were the
Oh.
additional ones that you had. Okay, John, I think you should be able to go. In SurveyMonkey and. I just have to make it expire or else people don't turn them in.
How to do this?
Good, I got it.
Got it?
Yeah.
Just look at
You-
this.
Okay, just go to SurveyMonkey Apply.
Okay.
It should let you.
Andrea, quick
Yes.
question, since I didn't review all of them, and maybe Chris, maybe since you're talking about it as well, Could y'all identify maybe a couple of other workforce development ones that I could be interested in?
Yeah.
That you would recommend checking out maybe of the half that, well, I know you two folks read them all.
Yes.
San Juan Mountain Association, Southwest Conservation Corps,
Yeah.
Groundwork Denver,
Yeah, this.
Outward Bound.
yeah, Outward Bound,
Sorry, what was that first one? You said the San Juan?
San Juan Mountain Association. It's a little bit less. They're very similar to Southwest Conservation Corps, a
Yeah.
little bit less because they do work with like younger kids too. Versus the Southwest Conservation Corps would be much more focused.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then WRV, Wildlands Restoration Volunteers,
Yeah,
maybe not like super workforce specifically, but they were training volunteer leaders.
I did look at that one.
And then Logan County CSU Extension.
I think I technically have to recuse
Oh,
myself
yeah.
on that one.
True.
hard to pick too.
But then you wanna,
Your top two.
Top two with a third extra.
How, I mean, we can do three. How long do you guys want to be? If everybody picks the top two, then we'll give you it's the same top two.
If everyone picks the same top two.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yes.
Everyone.
Mm. They both have matches.
They do.
I'm just saying.
Oh, what if they do? Then I should go buy a lottery ticket.
But what if you just used your good luck here?
Yeah, exactly. Well, then I end lots of children.
even if you buy the
It'll be
lottery,
worth it.
even if you buy the lottery, you will.
I know.
That'd be awesome. You looked at wildlands restoration volunteers.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
I feel like. That's my feeling.
I have three, so there better be a duplicate. You know, I did have a question about like. About like with with universities and others who get federal funding. Like if they get this money. And then because of the federal, orders. They can't serve the populations that we wanna serve, then what happens? Like if they have to open it up. To kids with money. Right, like how do we, I don't know, so I'm a little confused about how would we.
I can ensure that it's going to the populations that we're expecting it to go to, just like that actual like insurance piece.
I think we have this combo almost every cycle, because we talk about, well, what is our at the end evaluation, how are we quantifying the people that we are?
No, and I think it's different, cause I think I think I'm all basing it all on an executive order that says you cannot
Mhm.
just serve LGBTQ kids. And if that's what you do, and we're intentionally giving you money for you to do that, will you be able to do that? Right? Like, and especially I think about universities who have, said, we're not having a DEI office, we're not doing DEI, we're not, so then.
In that case, I feel like, like if it was like, like think about Inside Out, who only serves,
Right.
if what I think would happen in that case is more likely a bigger issue of they lose their 501(c)(3) status, that the government has gone so far that they're saying, if you only work with one population, you can't be a nonprofit. And I think that's far beyond our, our worry of them spending our money, of like now nonprofits have been destroyed in this country, because Inside Out would just cease to exist if they
Yeah.
can't just work with.
Right, yeah.
They're not gonna change and not,
Right.
Here's my question.
all of those,
Figuring this.
and or they still may try and operate, but they just wouldn't be a 501(c)(3) anymore.
Yeah, but before you get to that extreme, there'll be like take all the corpse organizations. That, a lot of that money comes from the federal government, right? So now if the federal government says you cannot be serving just this population and pulls their money, which has happened, right? Like, then effectively they can't really do the work that they're supposed to do. And our $100,000 isn't gonna replace what the federal government has given them. So I'm just wondering what happens if one of our grantees finds themselves in that position. And I think that at a university, it's very likely, right? Like, Dawson, you
Yeah,
say.
I can
right?
speak to it. Yeah, we've lost a ton, like we're a very environmental justice oriented department, just that human dimensions piece. We've lost millions of dollars in grants. Even grants that had the term biodiversity were flagged because of diversity. Like, yeah, we lost a ton of stuff. Like all of our, like we do a lot of like global development work. All of our USAID work was obviously pulled. And then as far as like DEI and the offices and stuff like that, depending on if they were, the level of student piece is actually a really unique element of it. If it's like a student-led organization or a student facilitated organization, it does not meet the criteria because it's we as the institution do not control our students, and the students have every aspect to do whatever they want. But we had to change like our name to inclusiveness and belonging versus our equity and justice work, right? So yeah, there's been a lot of shifts and changes in space. So you're exactly right, Vinny, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think that our money can't be touched, right? Like, it's our, it's just like
State.
private money, you can't touch it. But like, if now, so they can't take our money, but if a university is now saying, we can't serve this population, directly,
Right. So
then, then how do they do our work with our money?
So we would,
Right.
in our case, if there was CSU in this instance, right, like we would give it to the student organization that
I
was
see.
working on that issue.
I see.
So we could do that.
I see.
So I would say like the work that we're doing with a lot of our partners, it's like finding ways around it. And stuff, but I hear you.
I
for
see.
sure.
No, well, but see, I didn't know, that's news. Like, oh, you could, like, the students can own it and do what they need to do. Because it's not the university that's doing it.
Right.
It's the student.
And we also have, for us, and again, it's gonna be different, these organizations, like our faculty, I mean, you do have First Amendment rights that in a classroom, we say whatever we want, as long as it's not obviously me or cruel or anything like that, but like we get to speak to whatever extent makes sense in our coursework and our focus areas and stuff like that.
Benny, I think practically speaking, like if we were aware this was happening, we could cancel the grant and pull back money. I don't know that that actually is likely to happen. If they reached out proactively, and like, we can't do this.
All right,
Presumably, we
Right.
could pause it and redirect funds. at that
right,
point.
okay.
I don't know if they're going to be forthcoming like that, it would have to, and obviously, like, we don't have the capacity to manage to monitor every one of these organizations and see what's going on with them.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the only way it really comes up proactively. And we presumably, hopefully find out their reporting requirements that this happened at the end, and then could make that change. I think it's worth remembering that, the administration is going after huge organizations that receive tons of federal funds, which is mostly universities, not smaller organizations. And as far as the only thing, they're not, the law doesn't really constrain what they're doing in terms of violence pressure, but they have been going after, and they have a fair constitutional protection argument on kind of racial, racially directed programs, but not things that are helping economically disadvantaged kids like that. And that's always part of all of our grants.
Yeah,
And maybe
Yeah.
can give
Yeah.
these organizations a chance to keep doing exactly what they're doing. If we're serving, poor kids.
That's
Yeah, of course, we direct, we happen to be an organization focusing on, LGBTQ kids or whatever, but like, we don't have, they might have to change it, we don't have hard rules saying who else can participate.
right.
Which they likely would
Right,
provide.
right.
And they still, people are gonna self-select, how
Right,
they're
right.
gonna be able to do 99% of what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, maybe, kind of like wait and see how this plays out. It may not actually affect what we're doing at all. Even if like the spotlight does come down on some of our organizations, there still seem to be workarounds, I think, legally.
And as long as you consider that this is creating sustainability in the space, if the work might not be, I think, administered in the way that it might have been put in the application. And I think that's one of the pieces that we'll have to see, because I think some of these organizations, they have seed funding from other spaces, like the $100,000 is just part of it. They might not be able to fulfill the application to the degree that they originally anticipated. And I think that's sort of like a conversation we'll have to have, like, do we want to pull money that can't fulfill it to its full potential?
Yeah.
I think that's something we'll have to
Yeah.
look at.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do have to wait and see. And I think that what jumps out of me is what's happening with colleges and universities. I mean, and if you feel that pressure,
The chilling effect.
that's right.
Yeah.
You might say, oh, I can't I can't even accept these $100,000 to do this work because it's gonna cause me a bigger problem.
Currently, how many applications do we have from college? Just for
Or people who work with
Girls
students.
on Rock. I mean, I think technically CSU extension.
The corps, that's not university, but it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, they get a lot of like national requests.
that's what I'm
And
saying,
they
like,
have had to change things, and what we've experienced, like with some of the Generation Wild communities and stuff, is that what they've just done is just changed what they're saying outwardly.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like climate change.
Yeah,
A lot of the organizations moved that they're doing climate education with kids and that they're teaching them about the outdoors, and
Yeah.
instead of equity, it's outdoor for all.
yeah, yeah.
That's what a lot are saying, and so
Yeah.
then that gets them where the spotlight isn't on them, and they just are just continuing to do their work.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, not worried about nonprofits, because private money can do whatever it wants, whenever it wants, to whoever it wants. And so some of the small organizations don't get any federal government money, whatever, and getting your 501(c)(3) removed is it would take a long time and a lot of lawyers and, all of that. It's the people who depend on federal money and don't want to get in deeper trouble than they already are, and therefore would say, we just can't do this. But
we'll have to have that conversation when it comes to like, where do we want to stand as a board if we know that some of these organizations might not be able to fulfill it to its full potential, because they will have gaps in their staffing because of federal funding, whatever it is, and we want to still, like, if their grant mostly was overhead and staff, we want to continue to fund it, because that is also funding sustainability in the space, because if not, there will be a gap in that, so.
But thank you, Dawson, for that, because I didn't know that, like about the students. I didn't.
Yeah,
know
how we're
that,
navigating.
so that, yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
Hilda, did I get your votes?
Alright, Southwest Conservation and Groundworks Denver.
Thank you. And then online folks, we want to include you, so please send me your two organizations. There is quite a lot of agreement, so that's good to see. Mika, will you just choose two additional, just so you can put your 2 cents into today's discussion too, even if some applicants that you liked yesterday were moved forward.
Oh, and a reminder that we still have that question of partial funding that we discussed yesterday. So if we end up having 1 or 2 programs that we want to partially cover, then we might have a conversation about that.
Okay. Great, and then our cheater needs to choose one to go with, and he's not paying attention.
Oh, I have to choose one from
Yeah,
my
choose one.
double vote.
I did groundwork and
Let's do that.
camping.
Have three.
Camping
That one can have a
connect.
friend.
Young master. Okay, we'll wait for Mika.
I didn't know it when I bought it, but it does.
Andrea, remind me on the OEGP ranked apps, the ones that are orange are the ones that are moving forward for final vote, right? Or discussion.
Yes, that's right.
Let's throw it away.
Okay, thank you, Mika. I'll get those on the board. Okay. Where that folks want to direct some conversation for Southwest Conservation Corps, that was the top mentioned applicant. And then we have 3 votes each for Groundwork Denver, Beast Fingers, and Young Masterminds Camping to Connect. 2 votes for Castilla County Conservancy District, and then 1 each for Outward Bound, Friends of Youth and Nature, Logan County CSU Extension, the Center for Family Outreach, Mountain Dreamers, OSO Outdoors, the Stepping Stones of the Roaring Fork Valley and Sunstone Inclusivity Network. So, Crystal will guide the discussion again or facilitate the discussion. And we'll talk about Southwest Conservation Corps first, and then for these applications that have the same amount of votes, we'll discuss all of them before kind of talking about the funding piece of that. And then we'll kind of move on from there.
I think Stepping Stones is already.
Was it?
This is 8 minutes per.
Yeah. Are you
8
okay with
minutes.
being out of time?
Per applicant.
Okay, we'll have 8 minutes per applicant, and we can get started on the first one. What was the first one?
Southwest Conservation.
Southwest Conservation. If you don't mind starting the timer now.
Got it.
There were 4 stickies on there, so if those 4 individuals wanna just either summarize real quick for those who didn't get to read the application, and also maybe share your argument on why you want to come forward.
I'll say I can start us off. So for me, I mean, again, just from my perspective, like the workforce development piece was a big one that was coming up. And then when we were thinking about the geographical locations that had like a blank, this definitely hit into those counties that kind of represent that geographical scope. And then even when we were thinking about, I think, Hilda, I believe you're the one that mentioned, right, like that we only have one organization that's working primarily with American Indian youth, and this organization also identified intentionally engages American Indian youth through our Indigenous youth crew. So I thought that would hit just kind of a few of these gaps that we're seeing. So that was a big one for me.
I wrote one of the stickies and I just echo, you know, the workforce development is really great with them. And then also reaching that Southwest Conservation Corps has an office, main office in Durango, and then also office in Salida. They work in Alamosa. And so these will be mostly focused, these activities mostly focused in that very Southwest corner, with their affinity crews and then the Indigenous crew. So. Can give a little, like exactly what was in their budget. That they would be funding crew leaders and AmeriCorps crew leaders, transportation costs. They will have mental health professional there to support. And then gear for the crews, backpacks, sleeping bags, tents, rain gear. And then they have their youth coordinator, because they do a lot of recruitment to find the youth. And they'll do the youth crew leader training.
Are the youth crew leads usually, did they mention that they're like past?
Yeah, typically with the crews, they'll bring people who have done it, you know, as a younger person, have maybe done it a couple years, and then the youth crew leaders typically are returning, you know, and taking on a more leadership position. Sometimes they can be someone brand new.
Yeah, just based off what I'm hearing, it sounds like we're hitting multiple parts that we mentioned that we want to still fill this morning. So American Indian youth, something related to working, maybe not directly, Dawson, to what you were thinking, but that component of some career opportunity. And then also, I think you said they were hiring professionals for like mental health or well-being.
Yes, yeah, they'll have a mental health professional on staff for those crew experiences. And then just to call out, just based on the conversation earlier, I'll just read what they put in there, kind of anything else you want us to know. But Southwest Conservation Corps, Conservation Legacy is a federally funded partner and grantee, which obligates us to follow federal compliance to executive orders in place with the current administration. Therefore, we're not implementing any new diversity, equity, or inclusion programming or advertising existing program as affinity or identity-based program. However, these federal guidelines do not directly impact the way in which we conduct our day-to-day operations at Southwest Conservation Corps. Southwest Conservation Corps is deeply committed to creating programs that are relevant, informed, and directed by communities that have historically been left out of conservation programs. Our commitments have not changed, but our outward presentation has shifted.
I think something nice about being on this board is that we're all understanding when applicants don't mention that, because we're aware of that risk, but it's always nice too when they acknowledge like the changes that are happening in their program, so that's a nice extra comment.
Yeah, she sent a spreadsheet just to you that should have a spreadsheet for school.
But okay, based off of almost, yeah, a majority vote and hitting multiple opportunity areas,
I'm gonna.
One that she just sent.
Oh.
Do you need a notebook?
No, I need more.
Just one that Andrea sent.
And for everyone's awareness, which I'm sure they saw, they are asking for $99,804.06. So very specific, but again, based off of majority
Drives me
vote.
crazy when people do that.
We force people to round with ours.
Yeah, I don't expect people to do that.
So then are you expected to, is that like the amount that you have to grant them then?
I think we should grant them
Sorry.
to the whole dollar. And just tell them that's what they got. Don't get the force.
Like, make do. You should write, be like, unfortunately, we're not able to fund your full.
How much time do we have?
There is still 1:48 on this one.
All right, I think we're good to grant this one if anyone else is opposed. Cool. Southwest Conservation Corps. Thanks to those who mentioned them. Definitely reaches areas that we didn't get to.
They cover a few of our
Yeah.
areas that we wanted to. They just score way lower, so I was looking at our cumulative 36 score.
Yeah. All right, next one is for the 8 minutes is groundwork Denver. We had 3 votes on those, so if anyone wants, if they either read it and want to summarize what they mentioned, or if you voted on it, please feel free to share why you brought that. Groundwork Denver. I don't know if this is biased, but through my work, I work with crews from Groundwork Denver, and it's a really great resource. And a lot of high schoolers and like college students usually work during the summer here, and great career building opportunity. And they also jump around different regions within Denver and help do.
I would say they're like a stable presence in Denver in the community for youth. I think like out of the organizations that have been around for decades, I think they have been like one of the most constant presence in the outdoors. I'll say there are a lot of other justice youth organizations, but they're one of the most present as like a staple that you can probably start high school and finish high school and be in the same organization, which doesn't happen all the time. Also that they're serving the Black community in Larry and Swansea. They serve just a diverse, like they're really probably those neighborhoods consider themselves more like multiracial than they might identify as individual in one single race. So they do great work.
Connor, I see your hand online.
Yeah, thank you, and good to see everyone. Sorry, I've just got a couple hours with you today, but yeah, this was one I read. I would certainly echo what's been said. This was one of my top scoring ones, due primarily to really well respected organization with a long track record. And I think they more than most had a strong workforce development angle, and then we're so clearly youth driven. It just felt very mission aligned for us. So I scored this one relatively high.
Yeah,
We have funded them before, and they are finishing up their grant from 2020 that was awarded in December 2023. So they have until the end of the year to complete that. Let me double check before I give folks the wrong information.
Would you mind also saying like how much that was awarded?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's deciding to be slow.
While you're doing that, can I just add?
Mhm,
Okay.
yeah.
So I did want to just highlight how they broke down the demographic population. So of youth age 25 and below, 98% come from low to moderate income families and 86% come from low income families. Among youth, 46% are Hispanic, 26% are Black, 18% are 2 or more races, 6% are white, and 4% are Asian or Pacific Islander. So thought that might just be helpful too in context of some of the conversation. The gaps we're seeing in some of our demographic populations.
So we awarded them $99,000 in December of 2023. They expect to finish that by December 31st of this year. Of course, I haven't received a new report from them since June 1st, but as of June 1st, they had $33,000 to spend. Since they received that grant, they did have turnover in their executive director because Cindy Chang, who had been there for many, many years, is no longer there. But I think
As they have a new executive director?
yeah, so their new executive director is Derek McCoy, and I think as far as nonprofit turnover goes, that process has seemed really smooth on my end. Professional communication, good communication, and Derek, their new ED, is very available and responsive when I ask questions. Yeah, so I think strong leadership despite that turnover that I think would be difficult for an organization where their executive director had been there for 10 years or whatever it was that Cindy was there.
yeah.
Something cool that's in their budget is that they're gonna spend it on the youth employees. So I think something I really like is that it's not just a volunteer thing, but the youth who sign up actually get paid. And it says here they're gonna get paid $20 an hour, which I think is pretty good for youth. Cool.
Beast Fingers kids.
Oh yeah, so we are going to move that forward. They also are they asked for 100,000, so right now we are around 200,000.
So let's discuss all the ones with 3,
Okay, oh yeah,
and
yeah.
then the decision can be made, yes, fund all 3 of them, or maybe one is better than the other.
Okay.
Just to give fair process to each one.
Okay, so we'll restart the 8 minutes, please, Chris, and then we will talk about Beast Fingers. So, we got 3 votes on that as well. And this one actually was one of my highest scoring applications that I reviewed. One of them was because it's a Black-owned rock climbing gym, which I think I don't think I've seen a lot of rock climbing activity. Maybe it's not specified in some applicants, but this one, did rock climbing, and the owner who wrote the application, you could tell, was very passionate and cared a lot, which I think what gravitated me towards scoring higher, because I think mentioned he got into a really bad accident and his first gym got shut down due to rent increase. So he moved to another location and still stayed connected to the community that was close to the previous gym. And yeah, So, and they really, they have another, I think, psychologist, or I don't know what the right word is, but someone, a
It's like
mental
a
doctor.
sport- Like a sports
Therapist.
psychologist.
Yeah, therapist. That's on the team that could help assess any kids are experiencing any trauma and stuff and help just navigate them to use rock climbing as an outlet. So I thought this was a great organization to bring that up and to help build that Black community.
I also put it up there and, for all of the reasons. I think that they're asking for, which is they're asking for money for a van because their clientele was in a different part of town and they move and I think that that's like a really specific, clear, need. And so that I was impressed with that. And then, but I will say, Beast Fingers is ran by a Black leader, but he's not necessarily centering Black kids. So it's not like that will fulfill that in any sort of special way. He is serving underserved, low-income kids, and probably mostly Latino kids, because he's trying to reach the kids that were in El Área Swansea area. However, we know that if a leader of color is leading, that the effort will be put in to get kids of color. And so I feel, like that would really meet the need because I think leaders of color try to really reach out to kids and get them, but I just want to say that that's when you look at his numbers, these are not Black kids. These are kids, just underserved kids. And some of them are Black, some of them are not.
Connor, I see your hand online, and if I ever don't see your hand, just jump in.
Oh, yeah, no problem. This, I did not read this one, but just to speak from kind of the outdoor industry and ecosystem perspective, this is a great organization. It's well known, it's well respected. I think his name is Aman. I'm trying to remember what his name was. I think it's Aman, who's the founder. Incredibly passionate, well respected. I think the work they're doing is having a real impact already. It was heartbreaking, I know, for a lot of the community when they had to move. So I think this is one where a van does make sense. And just again, from kind of the outdoor industry, outdoor ecosystem perspective, well-respected organization, I would strongly support or maybe recommend some funding for this one.
Well, you're in luck, Connor, because your other half did review it. So I also
Right. Teamwork.
exactly.
Give her a raise.
With that OREC lens, I definitely rated this one very, very high. Specifically, because they touch on sure, climbing can be indoor recreation, but they're trying to also get kiddos in the outdoors, which is really important. And also ditto noted on, like, it's a Black-owned gym, which is very, very rare in the climbing community and more or less in the outdoor community. And also just to be a little sappy, I got a little emotional when I was reading this. I heard the kiddos, the testimonials, the stories, and how this is like it's by the community for the community. And there was a quote that I saved here. We go outside when they're ready, not on a schedule. And I commented, fire. I thought that was so compelling, and it just speaks to the fact that as an organization, they listen to the youth first, and they go on their time, their schedule, their readiness. So I strongly support this organization.
So I would even add that, like, all along those notes, it's like the success and why was just so well developed in this one. And I ranked that in my comments as like just one of the best applications to speak to that. So I would, again, was my third choice. I was going very hard between 2 and 3. So I would like to also put my support towards this organization.
I think we often also talk about like the different types of experiences.
Yes.
Like we can. And this is so unique. So sorry. Go ahead. Well, not just my echo, it was me whispering to myself. It's such a unique experience and, you know, can be that first introduction. And to have, you know, kids see themselves represented, and especially in a sport like rock climbing.
Yeah.
That is so white dominated. It's just a really unique opportunity for outdoor equity.
And he really talked, did a really good job at talking about, and this is sort of interesting because I met like a real rock climber, like a real, like an Everest rock climber who talks about this, who talks about how he gets booked to talk about Everest all the time, but that there's that it's about leadership, that it's about teamwork, that it's about, and so he talks about how they may become strong rock climbers, but they'll become incredible communicators, they'll become incredible leaders, and that you need those skills in order to be a successful rock climber. And so I just thought that was really kind of cool that he understood the broader impact of his work.
I'm sorry, I know we were just raving, but real quick, being like a climber myself, especially if they work for a lot of kids who are underrepresented, kids who are minorities, being like really having them in a space that's very white dominated brings a level, like helps them develop in a way that brings them so much confidence and just like a good audacity to just like dominate the space and be strong and really show up in a space that sometimes is not always created for them in mind, but I think that also helps build character and confidence. So, yeah.
I don't know if we talked about the career component, because that's something that I picked up on. And I can't remember exactly what he said, but he's also training, athletes choose to come back and work part-time as coaches and assistants. So that's also building professional skills, especially for something that maybe these kids are picking up a passion for, and showing them that they can move forward professionally in this sport, and giving the opportunity to do that, I think is really unique and special. And it's workforce development in like a different sense than maybe a lot of the projects that we've funded in the past.
And mic drop tonight.
Do you want to add a last comment, John?
Oh, no, I agree. I got a little emotional reading this one too, primarily right at the beginning, that the reason I had to move is, bullet holes in the windows. And it's like, we're not gonna quit. We're gonna hang in there. And they did. So yeah, this is a good one.
Sometimes I wish the applicants could hear what we have to say about it. Because I'm sure if
Oh, he's gonna hear it.
yeah. Awesome. Okay.
Can I, before we go into the next one, can I just do one thing for a minute, Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Because it's really bothering me.
Yeah.
It's really bothering me, and if I don't do it, I feel like I'm gonna be, I don't know. So I just wanna be clear. And I just got to here, so I have to keep going. But all of these things serve white kids. Every single one. Every single one. And I don't, and if anybody took a photo of this board yesterday, you need to update your photo.
Oh, yeah.
Because every single one of these people serve white kids. There's no way white kids are getting left out.
Yeah.
No way. And it will bother me that it was blank because.
Thank you. I know, I was looking at that.
This is what we're fighting. So it bothered me that it was blank because it's not true.
Yeah.
Right? It's just not true. So.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Mandy.
Thanks, Debbie.
I will say, thank you for doing that, but rarely do, some of them do, they'll say like, oh, and we serve 5% white kids, but they don't put in their description of youth, like, we're serving white kids, like some organizations do when they're serving Black kids or the Latinx community.
Absolutely, but,
Yeah.
but the foster care system is mostly white kids. So if there's two people that are serving the foster care system, it's impossible that it would be all kids of color, because the system is mostly made out of white kids.
Sure.
So you don't have to tell me how many people you're supporting. I know you're supporting white kids because of what kids with disabilities. You think those kids are, I mean, there are white kids in there for sure. So they don't say white because this is not, you know,
We don't have them to, yeah.
right, but I now I'm sitting here being worried about that, because I'm like, well, this is what the fight is, right? And in no way are white kids getting left out of this, in no way.
Yeah.
They make the majority of kids, so there's no way that they're not being served, right? They may not be centered, right? They may not be centered in the programmatic work, but they are being served. And I just want to make sure that the record shows that.
Yeah. Thank you for that compliment. Okay, next one with the 3 is the young, sorry, I can't read that.
Young Masterminds.
Young
Initiative.
Yeah, again, just, there's 3 on there, so whichever 3 board members want to share, or if you read it, you can summarize, please do. Yeah,
I
and then-
also read it, and it ranked one of my highest, really. And it's this, I want to make the same comment. It's led actually by an Afro-Latino, not necessarily a Black, but an Afro-Latino. But it's not just serving Black kids. I mean, they're serving all underserved kids. And I think that they're serving boys, which I think is really important, right? Like when I think about that, you know, who's shooting up things, and I think about, you know, and so I think it's really important that somebody's paying attention to boys. And I think that they generally are working with tough, violent boys. So I really and they're actually like really focusing on the loneliness epidemic, and they are surrounding them with professional men who are mentors. So I just think that the whole thing is really like, camping is like kind of like just the vehicle in some ways. The whole thing is very, very holistic. And I love it because I don't think too many people are spending that kind of effort and time with boys.
I don't think there are many organizations that specifically serve brown and Black boys. I think in my experience growing up in Colorado, there were so many organizations that serve women, immigrant women in so many of these spaces, but not many that would serve men. And there was the school to prison pipeline is much sharper. In young brown and Black men, I didn't see those opportunities to my fellow brothers and sisters in school, that they had those opportunities. I think there's a huge gap in that space. This really serves them.
Yeah. I know Manny well, and I know that Young Masterminds Initiative, they started with camping. Now they've added fly fishing experiences to the program. They're also adding bike packing to the program, so that's a new thing that they'll be adding for next year. I think one benefit of being funded through this program for Young Masterminds will be to start to forge those connections with other nonprofits across the state. I know that's something that they really want to do and are newer in the space. And exactly what Benny said, it's not primarily an outdoor program, but they have some real goals. I mean, everything happens outdoors, so don't get me wrong, but they have some real goals related to mental health and youth development that the outdoors is kind of the vehicle to be able to accomplish those. So when I think about like the goals of the organization and the goals of the youth within the context of the outdoors, I think they're very clear on what exactly it is they're trying to do and what outcomes they're hoping to have, and how the outdoors can be a really good kind of conduit or setting to be able to accomplish some of those like deeper personal goals and needs for youth too, as far as mental health. Yeah, they've been funded 2 times.
Did I see that they something about Colorado Springs, like they're moving into
Yes.
Colorado Springs, or
Saw
they're
that too.
trying to recruit kids from Colorado?
Mhm.
Oh,
In Colorado Springs to connect with youth down there, yeah.
Yeah, and I know Manny really wants to connect with the Latino community as well. So like you said, it's not just for Black youth, but he's trying to do some intentional outreach to find the youth that really need this program.
oh, I think I wanted to just say, do we still have time?
Yes. 'cause
I wanted to
didn't
just
start
say
the
that.
time.
Wow.
So you have 8 minutes.
You're gonna go on a pip. I just wanted to mention that I saw on LinkedIn, because I follow Manny, that he just did an interview with the Men's Health Journal in the UK. And it was him and a men's health doctor from the UK who's come up with this concept of nature is medicine, and has this specific like formula for your well-being with nature. And so it was a really nice, because there was this scientific mind talking about nature and what it can do, and then there was Manny who was talking about just the social emotional piece of it. And so I mean, he's pretty, getting out there with his, like,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that he's also very, what's the word, conscious about like protecting that space and being able to grow like those mentorship relationships. For example, like he won't let any of us come on a program with them unless like we are a man of color, because they really protect
That's
they
the
really
formula.
protect that space.
Any last comments? This is our last 3 voting groups. We're gonna move on to the 2 sticky notes.
So since we discussed the 3,
Okay.
then we can just discuss funding for that
Oh,
kind of tranche or level.
Yeah, does anyone have is gravitating towards another group more, or there is the option where we can award all 3 too? But
For reference, I believe all 3 of them are asking.
yes,
Or close to it.
so if we were to, including the top, because the top we said we would grant.
Yes, and I already updated them.
So the top one is basically 100,000, and if we were to grant award those 3, then we'd have 400,000 awarded, and I think that would leave us with 300,000 left.
Yep, so taking Southwest Conservation Corps out of it, because I've already added them. The amount of funding we have approved is about 1.4 million. There's 583,000 remaining. About 584,000 for anything under.
It's hard to compare those 3 because they all are do different things, essentially, their programs. I'm gravitating more towards awarding all three of those.
Oh, do you mean the threes that have threes?
The three that we just.
Oh, yeah, for me, that's what I would do.
Yeah, and they're all pretty different, so it's hard to compare. Okay. Online folks, anyone think any different? We are gonna move forward with granting the three applicants we just mentioned. Because if it's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
There's a thumbs up.
Omar, is everything all good on your end? Cool. Awesome. Yay, then we will move forward with those three. Yay. Now, the next two. Don't forget the timer this time, Chris.
Got my thumb ready.
Next category, we have two votes. So the first one is the Costilla County Conservancy District. If any of the two board members that voted want to advocate for those, and then if you read it too,
Or anyone's.
feel free to summarize what their needs are.
This one was the Conservancy District is going to create a farm park in the town of San Luis, which is in Costilla County, which is the second poorest county in Colorado. Very kind of isolated town. Their kind of closest big city is Alamosa, which is about a little over an hour, an hour and 30 minutes away. They don't, I think it's like 98% of land in Costilla County is privately owned. They don't have a lot of public lands to use. And in Alamosa, I think they were inspired by Alamosa because there is a farm park in Alamosa that is very popular with the residents of Alamosa and does a lot of youth programming there. So this application, it was a little, tricky reading it because it is a physical place. They kind of explain like one big engagement experience of people helping to build it. But I think the long term of a place like this could have big impacts in such a unique area of Colorado. So that's why I put in a vote for it, just because it is San Luis, it's just so far out there. And they don't have a lot of outdoor recreation opportunities just right there in the community.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I also gave this a thumbs up. One, I think, because I think it definitely breaks the traditional mold of what it means to be in the outdoors. And this application stood out in that way. Outdoors isn't always, skiing on a slope, isn't sledding, I don't know, what have you, winter sports. Outdoor recreation can be gardening with your family, with your community, learning about fruits and vegetables outdoors, learning how to plant, and just having that intentional space between, yourself and the land that you're working on. So yeah, I thought it was a really excellent application. What else did I, recreation? It shows different ways communities have and continue to be within the outdoor spaces. And I think for this community in particular, that's what outdoors means for them. And so I think we should really foster that, if that's what that means for them and it's a necessity and they can get nutrients and food and health through that land. I think that would be in our best interest to fund. Yeah, and it also, I think, if I'm correct, it fills one of our gaps of the regions that we're trying to address.
Chris, are they part of SOVGO?
They are not part of SLVGO, but they do work with them. SLVGO, works throughout the whole San Luis Valley, and so they do work with San.
Yeah, for historical context on the board too, one of the other bigger programs we funded in the San Luis Valley was also agricultural focused. Because so much of the indigenous and Latino community there has strong cultural roots to their special types of water sharing programs and agriculture there. And so a lot of this, I think, is not just about getting outdoors, but also refunding community knowledge based in like that indigenous understanding of outdoors. I think this is a great program. I'd vote for it.
With that, from what Mika said, just an excerpt from your application, the farm park will offer hands-on learning experiences in regenerative agriculture, historical acequia systems, traditional land stewardship, and soil health, all deeply tied to the cultural heritage of the region's predominantly Hispanic Latinx population. These activities not only support youth development and mental health, but also celebrate and preserve the region's agricultural identity, which includes Colorado's oldest water rights, the San Luis People's Ditch.
You know, I also read it, and I mean, I did not score it very high, and not because I don't, I mean, I agree with everything that's been said. But this is a project that's not specific to you. And it's about the community. And although I completely get that, love it, there are 10 other applications that were fully focused on getting youth engaged that I would go to, right? Because I'm trying to focus on youth, and this was very community oriented. And it was hard to read. I mean, there is no park, right? So now, this would be a huge impact to that whole community. But it's a benefit to the whole community and not specifically to youth. And I struggle with that because there are many other applications that are in the pot that completely.
I'm curious, does it say the whole community, does it say like the kids and their families? Cause I know that's a big part also of it, or does it mention the families?
Says youth and families.
Youth and families.
Well, sure, but I mean,
And it does talk
If it
about
is a
that
small
community
community.
members would be able to have like garden plots, you know, in this farm park, so it could be community members that also don't have kids. So it does serve that broader community.
but I mean, generally, I think this is a wonderful idea. I couldn't in good conscience. If there's something more youth focused, I'm always gonna just sort of lean into that.
Curious, we don't have anything really in that area though, right?
No.
Like it's been a huge gap for a long time. And if this is maybe a seed that turns it into like a food program that's just for youth, because there's not a lot of investment in the area, that's where like already an hour and some minutes from Alamosa, you mentioned.
Yeah.
That's rural. That's small community. That's like when foundations think about like, how much am I getting from a buck? They're not thinking they're gonna get much there. Can we be that seed, I guess?
So in the budget, they're paying for half of the annual salary of their recreation coordinator. That's probably the biggest chunk of the budget, and then $20,000 going to internships for high school students, which I think is notable. I did kind of ask, because I don't know if I saw it in the timeline, exactly how that recreation coordinator will support engagement for youth and families specifically. They have the one-time community event for recreation plans, and I understood this as they're going into like a pretty heavy planning process to gather input from the community as to like what they would like to see in this area. And building a comprehensive recreation plan. So I think I just came away a little bit confused. I wrote, I'd like to have seen how our support will help engage youth and families in particular. It mentions youth programming throughout the scope of work, but I don't get a good sense of what activities they are, what the interns would be doing, where would they intern? Would it just be that crop production or some other kind of programming?
Well, we'll sit with those comments. Those
Love
were all really
sense,
good
yeah.
ones.
And I'll say that like I voted for it, but I also am on the fence about it because of that it's not a direct, it's like a good and great investment in that rural community, but it's not the most aligned with what our goals are. And that's why I do for super highly.
We'll,
Colorado outward bound.
Oh, thank you.
You're like, I have my glasses.
And I have contacts on too.
Hey, I'm glad it's not the 50-somethings and the 60-somethings that you have to do that for.
Well, off topic, but I have a different prescription in each eye and I accidentally switched them one day. So I've been experimenting to figure out which
Oh,
contact.
wow.
Oh, I do that.
So maybe I need to switch it because I can't see very well. But anyways, next
Wow.
one is still the two stickies, so
Yeah,
the Colorado
Colorado
outward bound. Yeah, so who are the two board members that voted for that one?
Well, I did. I totally understand, and we mentioned this yesterday, that some programs are so well established that they don't really need us, so to speak. And I think this is one of them, but if you don't look at it that way and look at actually what they do, I think is really important. I've never been on an outward bound experience. I know many people and have worked with instructors, so I have a good grasp of what their programming is. What I liked about this application, and Byron, you might be able to help me with this one, but they said they purposely want to coordinate with other leaders within the region. They wanted to engage the high school, and there were some other people that anyway, they intentionally were going to reach out into the community. Let me find. So yeah, facilitate partner informed outdoor programs for BIPOC, low income, LGBTQ youth and leaders through a career entry fellowship. And then they're going to coordinate with Lake County School District, Western Slope Career Collaborative, our Emerging Leaders Fellowship, and so on. So what I really liked was that it wasn't just them, that they were trying to reach out to the a broader region of people. And so anyway, that's one reason why I scored it high. But I do agree with the thoughts that, you know, that organization has been in existence for, I don't know, maybe close to 100 years. And I'm sure they have support other than us, but I like what they do. And I like when they say we will intentionally reach out. And so it shows me that they're making an effort to not just be self-contained.
I see Connor's hand online.
Thank you. Yeah, I scored this one. I think this was one of my top scores actually. And you know, kind of to John's point, I just found it to be a very thoughtful, well-rounded application that, again, in my opinion, is just really aligned with what we are trying to do here in terms of, you know, serving these populations. And they've got a tremendous, I think, track record of doing that. To push back on one point, I think they're actually, I mean, Cobb's is struggling right now. They're probably in the weakest financial position they've been in, you know, maybe in their history. And so, yeah, just I think that's maybe important to recognize in this too. Certainly, there are other supporters of them in the ecosystem, but they are certainly struggling right now. So I think that's important to say.
I just want to say, after taking a glance at their budgets and application, I will read it myself.
I didn't read it, but I'm gonna make 2 points. One, I've been I always leave them out because I think they have the resources. I think they have an incredible alumni base who can close that gap in 2 days if they wanted to, right? Like, but over the years, because they come up every year, and I think more about it, I think the benefit of having Outward Bound in the mix is that truly our kids would never have access to that. And if our kids do get access to that, they're getting access to a social capital that they're not going to find anywhere else. So as far as I'm concerned, it's like putting our kids in Harvard and having them connect with these very wealthy, well-resourced people all over the country who they are now going to be part of that club. And I'm always trying to figure out how to get kids to be part of the club, because in the club shit's still happening in the club. So I think it's an opportunity for our kids to enter a space that truly was not created for them. And they're saying they want to welcome them, they want to open it up. And I think our kids would get a world-class outdoor experience that they actually and connections that they wouldn't get otherwise. So it's purely like for building their social capital and giving them an experience that's outside of their reach.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to say too, my first outdoor experience was an Outdoor Bound experience. And we did night hiking, and I know it was a while back, but I still remember the impact that it had on me. And the social capital is true, because I remember just like all of us were talking about it as if it was like a secret. Like, did you do Outward Bound? Did you do Outward Bound? Yeah. So I didn't read their application, but just based on personal experience, I enjoyed this program.
I did note on my comments, when we asked the partnership question, they have a pretty extensive description of their partnership with Lake County School District, but they mentioned Jefferson County, Pueblo County, Adams County, and Gunnison County earlier in their application, and didn't tell us anything about those connections, what the relationships if they already have those connections, or they're hoping to reach out now. And then there were just some interesting things on the budget that I wasn't sure what it was. Like, one of them was an acquisition cost. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. Per student per day, $11,000 total. Wasn't sure.
Is that for their like recruiting? Is it acquisition?
Yeah, but it's in their partnership course scholarship section. And then for course logistics, they also charge a per student per day fee. So I don't know, maybe that's just the way they kind of like structure their cost, and paying for administrative staff. So 11,000 plus 4,000, like close to 15,000 going towards administrative staff, but kind of put into that like partnership scholarship section. So that just made me have a question mark, I think.
For someone that read it, could they differentiate between, so I'm looking at the budget right now, they have a BIPOC affinity expedition, they have this fellowship build instructors piece, and then it seems like there would be 5. Are those 5 are these 5 fellowships geared toward BIPOC communities?
So it's underrepresented communities, I think, in general. So
Those fellowships would be for
BIPOC, low income, LGBTQ plus. Oh, I'm sorry. That's for their partnerships. And then for their fellowship, it's a BIPOC Emerging Leaders Fellowship.
Okay.
So we did hit that 8-minute mark for Outward Bound. But just circling back to the, was it Castilla County one? Yeah, now that we went over the two programs that have the two votes, I just wanted to have a discussion on both. I know we were hesitant on both of them. One, the Castilla County not being completely youth centered.
Yeah.
And then the Outward Bound, Andrea mentioning that question of acquisition on the spreadsheet. So
I have a question. The 283 is what is remaining.
Correct.
I also just want to mention that an important piece for activation and getting youth families involved, that holistic approach is also some of that built infrastructure, because if it isn't existing, then it can be very difficult to begin programming or get anything started, and to have a sustainable impact. You can't just address programming for youth. Families would need to be involved, especially in rural communities. 'Cause as soon as the bus drops you off, you're pretty much stuck in whatever neighborhood you're at. So I just wanted to share that comment.
Are they both asking for $100,000?
The Castilla County was like 83. Outward Bound was. Which if I was leaning towards, if I had to pick like one of the two, I'd probably lean more towards Outward Bound because it more aligns with what, experiences we want youth to have.
The one that closes the gap more in access, where there's no access, is the Castilla Cap. Because we're talking about closing the gap, like
Oh,
Outward Bound is already, like, their services will be provided, they'll be added no matter what.
there's no access to Outward Bound. It's so expensive to be part of it.
To that level of outdoor activities. I'm talking about in Castilla County, like even access to any groups, mentorships, there is none of it. This is like, you're talking about like luxury versus
And I
basics.
think our kids deserve them.
Oh, Lord. But don't they need them also in that valley where there's none?
This is a tough one. This is a tough one.
How about partial funding?
Almost like it's like a must have, nice to have. Kind of how I feel.
I guess just to gauge how everyone's feeling, can you raise your hand if you're leaning more towards the Castilla County? And again, we can grant both or neither, so that's an option too. But just raise hands if anyone does want to continue discussing the Castilla County. Raise your hand.
Will abstain from.
Sorry, that's the question.
If we want to continue talking about Castilla County and whether or not we should fund. If I don't see a lot of people interested in discussing, then I will take that as a sign that we will not. So,
Here's that from Echo.
oh yeah, anyone could share. Did you want to say something?
We got, sorry, just because Viva's on the chat and
Mhm.
she's online. She said, I'd like to fund Castilla.
Yeah, I already made my case. I would like to fund Castilla. I guess I don't have anything else. I keep my hand up because I want to keep them on the table. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, so raise your hands if you want to continue or want to fund Castilla County.
Let's Mika.
Okay. Awesome, cool. Then we will grant.
Oh, I thought you were gonna make another question. I was gonna vote again. No, so I should abstain too. I think either one is fine and.
Okay,
And And I was just gonna dive into the budget and see like if, mostly to the outward bound budget, to see if something partial could be given and they could, cause I trust that they can make up the rest,
Good fun, go.
yeah. Yeah, we could do that, yeah. Or when outward bound could, we could bring that down, because can I see that budget? Because there are things that they probably can handle.
Yeah, like their overhead. You're saying they're charging so much to other groups, can they take?
Vinny, I agree with you in the sense that the connections that can be made through this experience.
So, you're gonna, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think. Well, I'm always seeing.
Big enough?
Yeah. How the game is played.
Is,
Like insurance, like.
for anyone who read this one, the Outward Bound is the, oh, never mind. It says fellowship field instructors, so those, I was wondering if those trainings would go towards like the kids, if they're often with the kids, but never mind.
But the fellowship field instructors are youth though, right? There's older youth. Or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Kind
Is
of
it
like
like
in that 25 and younger. So those would be the 5 for their BIPOC fellowship instructors, and they
Okay.
shared in their application, like many of people who have been in that position have gone on to like found their own conservation nonprofits and like continue in the field.
So the instructors will be like a reflective leadership of the youth. Then, right?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's the intention of
Okay.
this fellowship program. Exactly.
So I did read this one and I did write partial funding question mark
Okay.
fellowship.
Okay.
So, which I think comes out to like half-ish, 40 something.
I could 100% get behind partial funding and we do the fellowship field instructors.
It
I
would
can,
come out to, sorry for interrupting, 48,580.
this is one where I'm on the fence. That's really like the focus, priority, the training, the certifications, what that does professionally, what that can potentially open. To the point, Benny, you were making earlier about what that does. Granted, it's 5, but that's 5 life-changing experiences right there that like set a trajectory for 5 individuals in a potentially very different pathway, is all I would say.
Cause even getting access to wilderness first aid training is really hard and costly, so that's, even that alone is a great opportunity. In addition to all those other ones. Yeah, I like the idea of partial funding too. Fellowship field instructors.
Would they be willing to do that? Like, just let it ask them.
Okay, so for now, instead of the 100K, we will offer to grant that.
And that you all would want that funding restricted to the fellowship field instructors. We've done it a couple different ways. Like we've said, like, you get $50,000, do whatever of your scope of work that you wish with it. Or we've also said, we want to fund this component of your application. So what I'm hearing is fund the fellowship program, and come back to them asking if they would accept that 48,580 for the fellowship program. Okay.
So we're able to dictate, like you were saying, what.
You could say no, and then we could just give the funds to somebody else or.
Exactly.
To the 400K.
We should also just,
I mean, I'm sure they're professional fundraising websites, but
she could say we got for 100, we got 48, and put it out to their alums. Make up the
Yeah,
difference.
let's do a match.
Yeah, I mean, like easy for that.
Getting kind donations from all the other, instructors that charge money. Yeah, they have the capital to be able to fund or match it, because their intention is to change what's in the outdoors. They will do it because they have the capital to do it.
Yeah, I just don't know, like Connor was making the point that they're in their worst financial space or anything. I didn't read this. I don't know anything about that.
Is that an assumption that they're that well off, I guess, right now?
No.
But that's what I'm asking. I just don't know.
Well, I didn't know about their financial situation now,
Oh,
but it's always been a well-funded, well-attended, well-supported. Yeah, so I wouldn't be too worried. Nobody's gonna let Outward Bound go away. I mean, like the thousands of alums that they have are not gonna
Mhm.
let it live. I mean, yeah. Curious. I mean, it's interesting why they would be not having people. I mean, that's interesting.
It's like an Ivy League school.
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely is.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for the discussion. We will continue after our break with the singular or single voted applicants, but should we do 10 minutes?
Yeah.
We'll do
Give
a
everyone a little.
Part of the whole 2 days.
10:47 is when we'll be back.
That's why we save energy with the top ones down.
That's a
Everyone
good,
agrees.
it's a good strategy.
was going on to Russia for the
Maybe. And bathrooms are just in the corner here in case anybody didn't see them.
Oh, do you think it'll take the whole hour?
I hope not, but at least, well.
Okay.
So we have 151, 651 left for these 5. Yes.
Yeah, honestly.
What did the board decide for those two?
This one's gonna be partial.
Oh,
I like this system.
oh, Russia, I know.
I actually do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because before only the loudest people got to say like, oh, I want this one.
Yeah, I do too.
So we got to hear from everybody.
We also got a lot of consensus from the get-go, so that was really.
Yeah, they made it easy.
Oh, yeah. I like it too.
That's good. We just get into it. Just shut stuff there.
Came around on Outward Bound. Remember every year it's been.
Every year I
usually-
vote
this
against
was
it.
usually Mika
That's correct.
giving it.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is a switch for you, okay.
It
it's
is a
interesting,
switch,
the
it is a
dynamic, yeah.
switch. I've
Because actually,
never.
this time you were the one that became Russia.
Well, I mean, somebody actually made that point to me, right? I mean, and I've carried it and thought about it all along, and I'm thinking, well, yes, true. And I am a very big proponent, even in this, even with all the other stuff that I'm a very big proponent of big transformational, unique, I will never have experiences. And I feel like I'm always for people who can offer that. And it's not always our people who can offer that. That person did made me see, like, it's like sending your kids to Harvard. Like, how many people how many can we do that for? You know, and I don't care if we do it for 5. Let's.
Yeah. Well, I think that's exactly right. I know like 3 people who've
Oh.
been on those trips, and every one of them like changed my life.
Mhm.
They're all like people who come from pretty good
Yeah,
advantaged backgrounds.
Yeah.
And it's good, what you miss out in capacity building for the organization, it's like you get this great return on your investments, impacts each
That's
kid who touches it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, all our kids don't need to be doing that, but I think that there's some that have to have that experience, I mean, like.
Yeah, I'm curious sometimes though, if we only think that those experiences are those, then to our community, we tend to forget that actually all those experiences can be in our backyard. But they're also like decisions that happen because of scarcity in families on the weekends, that you might not go to the park, but you actually might have a park close to you. But is that also like a belief of like not proximity to the park and not access to the doors, because you just actually don't have the capacity to do it because priorities are so different in your family and household at that time versus the other family that's better off. And that only good experiences can be these transformational, super expensive.
No.
All of that, like I'm curious, because sometimes it is seen like that also in like smaller households, like you can't, unless you're spending all of these goods and needs and all the things from REI to go outdoors.
Not at
When the
all.
reality, you don't.
That's correct. Not at all. Not at all.
And like
Plus,
they can be even more transformational just with you with like a simple
Not at all.
like
Not-
fishing rod than the with the most expensive. Like I was saying, there's probably something.
Okay.
That's my
So, yeah, we're
They're so
doing great on
expensive. I have to do it for
time.
everyone on my end.
Okay, and in no particular order, the 5 that each received 1 mention are Friends of Youth and Nature, Logan County CSU Extension, the Center for Family Outreach, Mountain Dreamers Oso Outdoors, and Sunstone Inclusivity Network.
You're right, how much?
Yeah, I can do that. Certainly.
The Mountain Dreamers is 100.
Friends of Youth and Nature is 99,962. Logan County, 97,030 and 33 cents. Don't put the cents. So take away the K because you're putting. Yeah. And then. Center for Family Outreach is 93,822. These really drive me crazy. I'm like, how did you make your budget to the 3 cents?
They were very exact, probably in taxes.
But nobody spends exactly what they put on their budget anyway, so.
We didn't want it to sound like they were not making up numbers, you
Yeah.
know, like this like costs us
And
3,000.
3 And then 95,000 for Sunstone.
And I was thinking since there were only 1 votes for these ones that we 5-minute discussion time. We have the afternoon scheduled too after lunch to continue discussion, but so if we go over those 5 minutes, it's totally fine, but timer, if you don't mind changing it to 5 minutes per applicant.
Well, I thought folks like.
Yeah.
It's a little
Leave that on my list.
Time.
Perfect. I guess I'll start with the one I put. I put the Mountain Dreamers, Mountain Dreamers also outdoors. Mostly because they serve an immigrant and refugee community in rural areas, because I believe the Rocky Mountain Welcome Center is in Denver, or at least yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of continue filling that gap in rural areas for immigrants. So that was my biggest reason why.
Some additional context and some County people, if you I misspeak, please correct me, but within their application as well, they do mention that they're serving 3 or 4 counties, so Summit County, Eagle County, Lake County, but this program is for Summit County. The organization in general is an immigrant advocacy organization, and this is a part of that sense of place and belonging programming that they run. And from what I have seen in the community, all their participants are from Summit. So just a note there, in case a part of your consideration was that their program is serving a larger geographic regions. But it is a very good piece. In the past, I've really supported this because of the way that it's built in previous applications, which I don't know what was in this one here. Javier has a partnership with A Basin to provide ski lessons for participants, and he does them in Spanish. And an eventual goal of it is to build a workforce pipeline to get bilingual individuals into the ski industry to help expand access to that really getting linguistically relevant side of things. So it's great. It's great work in a great entity. I just want to clarify the graphic organization.
I will say, I know in past applications, they have mentioned that workforce piece. I didn't see it in this year's application. I think that this year they just focused on providing the lessons. In the past, yes, they've had that strong workforce piece and saying like, once people take these lessons, they'll become instructors. That was not something that I saw in their application this year. And I think one thing that was missing for me a little bit on this one was a connection to the environment and teaching that like conservation ethic. It's pretty focused on recreation. But for Mountain Dreamers as a whole, I know they've recently started training their staff to take on like case work for like before they were purely an advocacy organization, but they're getting more into like the legal aspect of supporting immigrants and refugees in the mountain region. And that's the majority of work that the organization does. And then the OSO Outdoors program is like that additional belonging work. So important to newcomers in the mountains because that's such a big part of the culture.
And just looking at their budget, they are asking for 100K and 38,000 is gonna go towards the program manager. But the remaining amount is gonna go towards mountain lessons for around 25 kids. One thing that stuck out to me, I thought was pretty cool, was after they take those lessons, they offer, on here, I thought it was 1 year, but on their budget, it says that they will provide them with a ski or snowboard pass to the partner, what's the right word, slope partner?
Resort?
Yeah, resort. So I think that's a really cool offer after just taking those lessons, that they have opportunity to come for a whole season.
Sorry, I will say one more thing. Just knowing what I know about this organization, I'm not sure that this program, I know that this program doesn't only serve youth. They also give adult lessons. And so I don't know if this funding would be restricted to only reaching youth. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a good point, Andrea. It did mention families, and I made the connection that like it would be parents or whoever's kid's adult would
That's
join them on
exactly
the
right,
lessons. But I know with how the remaining amount of money and wanting to focus solely on youth or mostly youth, I'm okay with moving.
Well, let's talk about funding after.
Oh,
we
all of
discuss
them.
All of them.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So we'll do the next one, which Selena, do you mind sharing that first purple?
Yeah. The first purple?
Yeah.
Friends of Youth in Nature.
Friends of Youth in Nature. Who voted that one?
I did. I really like the application. They're located in Hotchkiss. So they serve that southwest area, Delta, Montrose, Uray counties. What I like is, well, for one, and their budget, well, they're asking for 100,000 basically, but 30 of that was for a salary for 2 years. But what they do, they also have a healthcare, behavioral health component. I had it right here. Mostly it's for transportation and gear.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Um,
Can you remind me the organization name again? Sorry.
Friends of Youth and Nature.
they have a variety of activities.
So something that I thought was kind of neat about this one is the transportation. They specifically talk about the van being used by all their partners in the region.
Right.
So it'd be like that shared transportation across. And I thought that was kind of a unique. I just thought that was a unique point when we talk about transportation being such an issue. And then they already have a partial funder.
We funded them before. And one thing I picked up on is they're moving from being an all volunteer organization to hiring an executive director. The amount that they put in for their executive director salary, it was $30,000, which worries me a little bit.
But that was for 2 years, right?
Oh, God.
Yeah, it was a 2-year request. So that seems pretty low, and I don't know if that's because they're just trying to get someone started. I don't know if that's like a part-time role. But I think when thinking about like hiring strong leadership, it's going to be hard to find someone with those skills at that level. Just something I noticed, or whether they would kind of secure some of their funding.
Can you share what their annual budget is?
Their annual budget is $223,000. $223,000. Sometimes when I say numbers, I think I'm saying something else.
I think the reason that I scored it high is just, they do snow days, skiing, snowshoeing, sledding, fishery, fishing, archery, art and nature and Ridgeway, rafting, paddleboarding, bike rodeo, camp scholarships. They go to the Ute Museum, so they try to connect, with history and conservation. And like I say, I think the majority of the budget was more for transportation and gear, if I recall.
And they have very strong partnership throughout the region. And it's a proven program.
But there are so many deserving, so, I'm not locked in on this one. It was just caught my eye.
Is try one of their programs, or is try a bigger program that they partner with?
TRI is their coalition, Together for Resilience. So it's community rooted partners. HAP, I don't remember what that stands for. MADA, Haven House, CASA. Okay, so 2 organizations that connect Hispanic, Latino, and Latina families. 2 that bring forward youth from foster care, housing insecurity, the Montrose Recreation District. They partner with Generation Wild, the land management agencies, including CPW, the Bureau of Land Management and US Forest Service, Families Plus. So it's like a consortium of all of these youth serving organizations. And then essentially what they've done in the past is each organization has a portion of the budget. So it's a coalition. And then each organization kind of like hosts 1 to 2 of those outdoor activities throughout the year. So they like rotate.
Okay. So the reason I asked that is because, I'm sorry, I hear the time, but I think this is important. they're saying that this position, there's a coordinator position for Tri, and that the coordinator position and the director position would be the same person. So I'm thinking that maybe there's like half funding from this coalition, and then the other half is being asked for this from specifically Friends of Nature, or Friends, sorry, of Youth and Nature. So I just wanted to highlight that since that seemed to be a concern.
Sure.
It's not specific, but it seems to allude to.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, keeping those comments in mind as we continue these applicants. Selena, do you mind looking at
Center for Family Outreach.
Center for Family Outreach? So who is the one who wants to advocate for that one or share?
I want to bring it up again because there was a lot of conversation before we wrapped up.
Brian, I appreciate you bringing it back up because that was my fourth in my fork. One of the things Crystal brought this up yesterday was that they have a youth app or a youth leadership group that is a really strong component of that, which I thought was really neat, that provides a lot of the programming and all that. I'm sorry, I'm pulling up there. But thinking about it too, as another, so it was a opportunity area, which we do have one organization that gets this involved, but that fit underneath that core category as well. So those were the two like highlighting points for me anyway.
Full budget is just over 715,000. The request is 93,820.
So they're including, let's see, a lot of different types of activities. Outdoor wellness, outdoor education, art, fishing, journaling. Visiting parks, hikes. Mindfulness, creative activities.
The budget is just over $62,000 in staffing, so a large chunk of that going towards a full-time program coordinator, 2,600 for the executive director. They have youth supports in their budget, $1,000 for fishing licenses, clothing or shoes for youth, other program materials, transportation fees, rentals of vans, pass, parks passes, year training and development, so CPR, first aid classes for staff and youth, and then staff development workshops for the best practices for youth outdoor engagements.
Another thing to share, they mentioned that in 2023 that they launched a youth-led drop-in center. And they said in 2023 they were serving 90 teens, and last year they reported that they served 260 teens. So they are rapidly growing, and it's awesome that the drop-in center was youth-led. So again, just highlighting the importance or how much they value youth voice.
So I feel like this one would also be one, if we get to the funding conversation, like let's do partial, I feel like this one could do some cool stuff with partial funding as well. So I'll just put that out there.
Is this, is the center, do they center immigrants? Is that? No.
they gave a broad range.
Oh.
They said it's a place that belongs for youth who are low income, racially, ethnically diverse, LGBTQ, have disabilities, or just involved.
It's an at-risk youth organization.
Mm.
Their youth are referred from the Juvenile Justice School
Oh.
District and Community Services.
Oh, okay.
I don't do anything like have any kind of like professional connection with them, but they're in my community. They're well respected amongst the community.
Mm.
They provide prevention, early intervention, substance use counseling and therapy, emotional, mental health and well-being counseling, conflict resolution.
Again, just keeping those comments and points in mind. Next one,
Logan.
Logan, the
Yeah,
CSU extension.
I think I need to officially recuse myself due to CSU employment.
I've reviewed this one, it's not highly scored by me. The applicants was lacking a lot of language and descriptions around kind of why they're working with the youth that they are, and didn't specifically mention barriers that they're working to address as well. They just said that, and like, we've been in the community, I know what's going on, and this is what we're gonna do. I didn't really see like the back and forth piece between community feedback informing this. And part of this might just be them being preventative in how they worded the application, given that they are associated with the university. But there were other applicants that mentioned specific barriers that they were working to address through their programs for reaching eligible. So that's.
So I'll say I brought this one forward. They've previously been funded and I did get to go out to Sterling this summer and visit them. They, I would say, like, have been so incredibly successful with their program, at least from that first year of funding. And I think that their application was a little bit confusing or maybe not the best written, but I actually chatted with them because I had some questions about some changes they had made in their application from last year to this year. So the previously funded project, they gave middle schoolers the opportunity to sign up for like an 8-week summer program. And as the kids attended each week, they were able to earn like the outdoor gear that was focused around like the topic of the week. So they did everything from like wildlife identification to how to cook outside to stream ecology. And essentially every family that participated was able to like build an outdoor bin for them to go and do like their own outdoor adventures. This application was not reflective of what we have funded in the past. And basically what they told me is they were so successful that all of the middle schoolers that they served last year have told like their friends and their families. So now they have to come back and serve even more kids. And they're doing more of like, not a drop-in program because the community has to sign up in advance, but instead of signing up for like the whole summer at once, they can kind of like pick and choose depending on if they're going to be on vacation or kind of like what activities the family can or that family or that youth can like join for. This is Sterling, Colorado. I don't know if anybody has been out there. They're serving kids from all over the county, and they even, the day that I was there, had a kid from another county like instructing fishing, who's like an award-winning like fisher man at the age of 13 or whatever. I think just from what I observed, and of course, like this wasn't included, they have been extremely popular and they're providing like that programming during the summer and actually on 5th days because the school district is down to 4 days. So they're actually providing programming during the school year for that day of school that kids are not in school, and they're able to bring the kids to their center, which is kind of like where CSU Extension, as well as their, oh gosh, FFA, or it's not FFA here, the like 4-H program is. And this program is very focused on like career learning for middle schoolers. So they're very like science and math focused. So then the middle schoolers can move forward with like some more information about potential careers in the outdoors.
But if it was so successful, why don't they just expand it?
Why wouldn't they do just more of what was successful as opposed to changing it?
I think what they changed was like, because they heard feedback from the community that signing up for those 8 weeks in a row was like challenging, but they've changed as like those requirements to like attend all 8 versus signing up for as many as you want or what you're interested in.
Interesting.
But still they're providing that gear, like if you come to the stream ecology thing, then you get your fishing rod or whatever that you earned that day.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't score them super high, but my only comment was I like that it's a series because it's just the continuity of it is
Yeah.
probably what. And it sounds like that's kind of an issue.
Well, youth can sign up for all of them if
Yeah.
they like.
I also said reaches remote counties, so I just thought that was important. But
The one thing that I noticed, I like that it is being put forward by the county. So then it doesn't take the CSU 20-30% that they like to take off the top, which is great in the budget. Cause I'm like, wait, where's the CSU, percentage? But then they are also asking for a Ford F-150 in the budget.
Yeah, I saw that.
So just, which, you do need to move around gear and supplies, and that might be the right type of vehicle for that part of Colorado. I don't know. But
And but I mean, maybe it's a very poor county, but so the county wouldn't have transportation then? I mean, like, couldn't they access the county's transportation?
that's why I think I put that out there, just if we can start thinking about commercial funding, is that, are we able to fund like the programmatic parts of all of that, but maybe not necessarily the Ford F-150. Which they were only asking $15,000, so it's likely a used one. But
15,000 for
For the truck, pickup truck.
doesn't include insurance or liability or maintenance and all of that has
Well,
to
the
come out.
counties are going to cover all of that.
Yeah.
Logan County, Nika. Okay, next is Sunstone and Precipice.
Voted for Sunstone. Oh, I think Mika actually voted for Sunstone.
It was Omar.
Oh, Omar.
Oh,
Or, yeah.
okay, Sunstone, we give it 343.
They're in Pueblo. I read this one. They're in Pueblo. They're a very new LGBTQI plus serving organization. In the research that I did, it was like they incorporated this year in June as a 501c3. And that they are doing like meetups, little art and club meetups in the Pueblo area. I hesitated a little bit on this because they said they were going to work with 240 unduplicated youth, which literally means 250 different youth. And being such a new organization, I just thought that was like a really big like goal. Like, I think it's much needed programming, but and then they're also asking for a vehicle. And so just that they haven't done any outdoor programming before, are brand new, just starting to build their partnerships you know, would they be able to be successful?
$380 per individual to go be engaged in the outdoors.
I noticed that the program vehicle purchase is listed at $9,000. That's pretty far below what we usually get for passenger vans. I'm not sure if the facilitation and leadership compensation is their staff or if that's like other youth that they're going to hire to lead things. Well, I guess they have the youth leadership. I guess I wasn't sure if that was staff compensation, and what kind of worries me is when a budget is almost completely constructed of like things that they're going to purchase without that like staff support to pay for a salary.
Or even recruitment and engagement, like that.
What service area? Where are they serving?
Pueblo.
Oh,
So their address is Beulah. I think it's the person's house in Beulah. But then they do, when I was looking at their website and social media, they're hosting their like kind of weekly like game nights and stuff in Pueblo.
It's Pueblo and El Paso counties.
And so one of my bits of feedback was, you know, could they connect with Inside Out, who's doing outdoor programming very successfully, you know, and are funding, you know, as a mentor of working with starting those resources down in Pueblo.
I mean, they were sort of the middle of the road for me. I could say the W-9 was not signed. And one comment I made was, I love the idea of photo voice and audio reflections. I thought that was a kind of cool way of capturing impact. So, I mean, for me, they were just sort of in the middle. But I will say that when I look at that board, it feels like the LGBTQ community is fairly being supported by these dollars, right? And yeah, maybe when I think of immigrants and refugees, there's less support there this round. So I feel like we're meeting that.
And we do have two specifically in Pueblo as well, regionally from that representation.
Omar, did you want to share anything, since you appointed this, organization?
Who said no?
Okay, so I guess I'll just open it up for discussion for,
I think people maybe can't see.
for the 5.
Can we eliminate, do a
I was thinking,
go from least to, I don't know.
yeah, I'm trying to figure out like a system, maybe, we can raise a hand for each one if we want to keep it on the board, and, yeah, do that.
Do we get one vote or is it like for each different ones, right?
For each one, yeah. Narrow down from there.
Friends of Youth and Nature.
Do we want to keep it on the board?
Yeah, you'll raise your hand if you want to keep it on the board. So we have. 2, 3, 4.
Online folks, raise your hand if you want to keep Friends of Youth and Nature on board.
6 in person.
Let's see.
Omar gave a thumbs up for that one.
I do too.
8. And then the next one is the Logan County CSU Extension. Raise a hand if you want to keep this one in the list, on the list. Okay. 0.
One for
Next is the Center Family Outreach. Oh, Dawson might want to vote on this. This one, again, if anyone needs a reminder to what they are.
Yes.
Okay. So far 4.
We only vote once, right?
No, you can vote. Next one is the Mountain Dreamers. Well, right now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8.
And then last one is the Sunstone.
Sunstone. Center for Family Outreach. This is just for us.
I'm sorry, I just talked about so many. Yes.
And Sunstone.
So top 3, Friends of Youth and Nature. The Center Family Outreach and Mountain Dreamers. So we have 151K remaining.
It's a little bit.
So then everyone is in agreement that the ones that we discussed at the beginning would get the full request, or get it, or is that something that anyone else?
For these.
The ones on.
I think we agreed to offer the partial funding for that without this.
Brian, you're asking if this, if we are agreed that all of this is going to be fully. Is that what we're agreeing?
We agreed, but it's not official.
Okay, okay.
Just wanna make sure because partial funding only start to come up when the number of money start going. Not from the get.
Yeah.
We can rediscuss these three, starting from highest vote to lowest. So we can start with Mountain Dreamers.
Andrea, do we have the authority? Because the question of this one was like, who does it really go to, right? Like, so you're talking about family and friends and stuff like that. Can we like, are we able to say like, hey, this specifically has to go to like kids and families versus like, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Do we have that like ability in?
Yes, I mean, the grant should be going to youth and families.
Right.
So I can be very specific with them, saying like, please only use this funding for.
That was like a concern that was raised, right? Yeah, okay. Trying to make sure I remembered all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, we also can restrict the dollars to certain things. You could say, we're gonna give you $50,000 and to buy the truck and X, right? And then, so we can also, which. Or just to pay for salaries.
Yeah, would it be helpful to look at the OSO Outdoors budget?
Mhm.
And pull it up?
Program manager salary, $38,000 on mountain. Participants on mountain lessons, 25 participants, $660 package for the course of 2 years. $33,000 ski pass scholarships, $300 for 50 over 2 years, 15,000. The Professional Ski Instructor Association training, travel, lodging for 3 to 4 people, 2,000, and supplies, $2,000, then admin overhead of 10. Just clicked on itself, but the Professional Ski Instructor Association training, travel, and lodging is for 3 to 4 immigrants.
Did just the math of like, if, so. Let's say we did fund all three of these, that would have been 293,784, so if we subtract what's left. The like amount that we would have to take away from these is 142,133. So just that in a goal, if we're gonna like take off some from each of them, or, but then also, even though we did talk about it yesterday and about holding it, there's that 180 that in theory could be used this year. We did talk about keeping it for next year, but even like a portion of that, 20,000 or something like that, if we felt, that would help.
Based off of this budget, it seems a little bit to restrict that. Is that? Because they're.
I mean, can't the outdoor recreation office help us out with those $15,000? I mean,
I
like,
was thinking about those
why are we
passes. I was
paying
like,
for
don't we have friends in those
passes?
places?
Yes.
Don't we have friends that could, like,
Why
an
do you pay for
in-kind
ski
donation
passes?
to the office? I see you, Benny.
Here, yeah.
Would anyone be opposed to fully funding them, or are we all in agreement that we want to partial fund, or are we?
Do we have the funds to fully fund them? Later?
Technically, but then, we wouldn't be able to fully fund the other two.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it's like, which ones do we wanna part, cause we can't fund them all, which one do we all agree to partially fund? Let's go from there.
Do you want to make the decision based off their budgets? Or their scope of work, or
It seems like we voted
Mhm.
on this board from their scope of work, because of their scope of work.
Yeah.
So now I guess we're just going more into detail.
I mean, geography could also be a place for us to focus on, like, who's where and are we light there and, you know, I mean, like.
Northern Front Range currently has two organizations, so that would be the Center for Family Outreach. The Central Mountains I-70 corridor has none, which is not a specific category up here. But there is none, and then for Friends of Youth and Nature, I think there's one at least, Montrose West,
They're like over
right,
here.
and the Naker Connection.
It's touch screen, I forgot, and I touched it. Yeah, this is. The address is Hotchkiss, which is the same as Nature Connection, but Friends of Youth and Nature really work, well, they really work this area here, all the way to Ridgeway, Olathe and Montrose.
And you said they've been a good grantee.
Especially considering, they don't have a paid staff member. So there's their little bubble, but
Well, I mean, just even based off the numbers here, there's a pretty significant like jump between the board's perspectives on these three, like from 9 to 5.
Yeah.
8 to 5. And then thinking of Fort Collins or the Northern Front Range, the focus that we put there, and then seeing those as the other two as specific gap areas, thinking as Betty made a point, immigrant and refugee populations or mountain dreamers, and then a geographical like absence. Would be original cases, I think.
Yeah, I agree with, I want to advocate for fully funding the Mountain Dreamers due to feeling the immigrant refugee. Yeah. And what region, does the Center for Family Outreach, Brian, you said that, where is this?
Fort Collins.
Matthew's house.
Was the Mountain Dreamers one that, cause I don't know, felt like their mission was adult. And their programming.
It just looked like, it was like, I guess it didn't specifically specify, it did mention youth, but overall youth and family, this is what they are. So,
Their mission is the organization's mission, which is different programs. Their organizational mission is to inspire, educate, and advocate in order for immigrants and their allies to create systems that advance equality, equity, and social justice in our mountain communities. That's the organizational mission. It's not exactly the mission of the program, but it's the snapshot, which is a good view into that. Mountain Dreamers also outdoors provides free ski and snowboard lessons, gear, and lift access to immigrant adults, fostering belonging and outdoor access in Colorado mountain communities. Elsewhere in their application, they do mention it.
yeah, I do know that this ski and snowboard program focuses on adults.
Looks at like age adult.
Any adult, I think originally they had, like, in their first application, they had said they're gonna focus on like 18 to 25. Really, part of their model is a lot of youth in the area get to be a part of SOS outreach, skiing and snowboarding programs. So really what they're trying to do is like teach adults as well so that whole families can go out together. And they have been really successful. They have a lot of demand for their programming. They have like a pretty extensive application process that they work with people who want to be a part of the program. So they do vet that. So I think if we said like, we really want you to focus on adults who have children and families, like we could say that. But I know in the past, it's been open to any adult, immigrant in the community that wants to.
But we could also say any adult between 18 and 25.
Sure.
Right, because that's an adult. But then it would align with who we're serving. I mean, I can't leave it open for them because we haven't done that for others, like, you know. But we can direct, say, I mean, it has to, you know, I mean, I'm really liking the workforce development piece, right? Because I think if people become instructors, that's a living wage, that's a, you know. But and I'm great if it's 18-year-olds and 20-somethings, but it has to be that. I don't think I feel like comfortable leaving it open for them to. I mean, surely they'll have a lot more than people,
25, yeah.
who want to between 18 and 25 years old who can do this, who want to do this. I don't know.
How would, like, when they report to you, how would they show that they are serving that age range?
They tell me,
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah,
tell me
self-reported.
how many of each age range they say.
would people be more open to funding with that restriction? If we gave that to
What the funds can only be used for youth between,
18.
Well, I mean,
Or 25 and younger.
yeah, 25 and younger. Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah. Mandated to serve, so.
We'll sit on that and then we'll talk about the Friends of Youth and Nature. We'll also take out this vote. Sorry, I'm reading my form of that map.
Yeah. Okay, we're in Southwest Colorado. Actually, their dot is here. But they serve pretty broad.
Yeah, that's just their mailing address. Much guess, but they work like Uray, Ridgeway, all of that kind of whole corridor there. Montrose.
I didn't read this application, but from the comments, it also does feel as though they're new, right, Chris? No,
They've been around.
it also does feel like there was like they were gonna do all these things. They're gonna take kids skiing and snowshoeing and, you know, so it could be that partial funding for them just means that you become more focused on what the activities that you do as opposed to trying to do all of it.
Off of that, so I was playing with this back and forth too between the Friends group and the Mountain Dreamers, like almost like talking about the partial funding for both of them is like almost just like half. Like the board felt strongly about these two organizations compared to the third here. So it'd almost be like 75-75 so that you could really like
get, like, they might not hit their 100,000, but 75 still makes a really significant impact versus the 40,000 where some of this is building and everything. So I don't know, I guess like, if we're really just talking about these three more $150,000, like my gut reaction leans a little more towards that. And so it's two organizations that have really, could do still significant impact, but they still have to, exactly what Benny's saying here, like, have to narrow in just a bit.
Exactly, fit, like, split the baby, pretty much, in half. Right now.
Because they're both out asking for like 100.
One thing I was gonna say, just to follow up on Benny, Friends of Youth in Nature serves 8,800 kids a year.
So surely our money is not the bread and butter. If you're serving 8,000 kids, you must be getting money from somewhere else.
What's their annual budget?
Like 250,000.
Oh,
Well, and a majority of this ask is for a van, it's for transportation.
It's 30K for, over the course of 2 years, going towards personnel or administration. They are asking for 30K, 15K over 2 years with 30K secured for matching from the Mighty Arrow Foundation and El Pomar Foundation. They're looking for gear, approximately 5K, just over 5K, transportation, 40K for a used activity van. They need 60K total and have a 20K commitment towards it. Yearly maintenance of $2,000, and then the rest is just insurance for programming and vehicles, and then program scholarships for kids at 19K.
19K is the scholarships altogether. So ultimately, we split the baby, what will we pay most will be for the capital purchase of the van versus the programming pieces.
yeah.
To support them further, we're still gonna be able to reach those kids and serve them, the kids. It's just, yeah. So,
Well, I mean, when you think of, you see the map and you think about where they are and what they serve, I can see the need for that van.
yeah, it's a capital fund,
If that's the way the board is heading, that's also another good way to try to secure another batch for transportation from another funder donors. Or we can just say, this is the amounts that we've granted, make do.
Yeah.
And this is the first time they've had an ED, right, or a paid ED?
yeah, that's the one that was the.
They've
But I
been an
guess-
all volunteer organization and they're making a
A move,
switch.
yeah. Important.
But I guess. With this, because what they will most likely cut, if we're gonna be cutting it to 75K, it's gonna be the salary of that ED. Because it will keep the capital purchase and keeping their promise of taking those kids outdoors. Do we want to remove not the requirement, but the expectation that they have to report on taking those kids out so they can invest into bringing that full-time ED? It's much more difficult to get that support, that will be that seat for them to be able to grow further. See what I'm saying? Like, it is a capital purchase. Kind of, and then we're not requesting any of the reporting related to the kids. And then they can think about really keeping that money for the ED.
So yeah, let this organization do as they see fit with the fund versus the other one, just because of the mission aspect of it. That's why we were really hoping to like make sure it's focused on like our mission line.
Well, I think also in the reporting and the expectations, we just gotta make sure that they understand, like, we're not expecting you to also have the scholarships and do the capital purchase. Cause the first thing they're gonna take out, it's the new thing, is funding our ED.
Yeah, so in this case where we didn't put a restriction or tell them what to spend on, in the past, how I've handled that is we tell them how much their award will be. we work on revising the scope of work and budget based on the new amount. And they send that to me to be approved. And then once we agree on that, those are the objectives they're working towards.
Yeah, they'll set up, but I think it's just sort of like a note of like encouraging, like you don't have to add that much.
Yes, and I tell them like, what pieces of this do you want to choose? You understand that you can't accomplish all of it with less.
Yeah, I think as long as we're like.
I think it's really impressive that they have come to the table with other money.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people put, you know.
Yeah.
And especially in such a rural
Yes.
area.
Yes, and from, I mean, El Kumar doesn't give money to everybody. As Brian would know.
I want to be considerate for our lunchtime, but before we break, what I'm hearing is that we'll split the remaining costs, so around 75K to the two organizations, but for the mountain Zoomers, we'll make sure, or we'll ask them to serve mostly 25 or 25 and under. And then for the Friends of Youth and Nature, we're gonna trust that they will allocate the money towards advertise.
I think it's more required, right? No, like ask on the mountain reader.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm hearing. Well, after this meeting, we will finalize the applicants, so we'll still have time to, again, just mention any other.
So let's talk about amounts. Do you want to split 1,051,651 directly down the middle? Okay, who gets the extra $1? Because I'm not giving up 50 cents.
Since they asked for more.
What about just a 75 split? Or 60?
Yeah, then just keep
Ooh.
that 1651 for a future year. Unless you wanna go find some that are like 99,925 and you wanna round them up to 100.
I'm gonna clean up, because we do have some in here. Because it also drives the calendar crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've done this. Tell me we coming back, class.
We have until 12:30. But should we do one? 12:30.
We can eat in 40 minutes.
Okay,
We got this.
we'll get back at 12:30, and if you're not done, maybe you can then.
Okay, come back at 12:30. Online folks.
You verbally recused yourself from the organization, so. Oh, sorry, down here.
Brian. Yeah, it's not against the law, but it's gonna look weird that. I'll figure out what to do.
Sure.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay.
For any other youth that come on here, if you, like I said yesterday, I'm available to chat with them. Still. Yeah, like you can let them know that depending on what their degree is, there's very likely an opportunity for them to get credits for, maybe not very likely, but to get credit for being on the board. That's what I went through and worked on. So that's something that you could bring up as well.
And we created like an internship or kind of like fellowship type. I had to sign some papers for you, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm supportive of making it work for students.
Should we go to reflections?
Yeah.
Selena, you feel prepared?
Yeah,
Do you need some time?
give me like 2 minutes. Okay. I guess you could put the questions up. if you want.
So now that everything's fresh in our mind, we just wanted to get some reflections on this whole process. And take some feedback. Yeah, just to let know how everyone's feeling and how this year's process went, so. We'll have guided questions for that.
Yeah, the first question, does everyone still have sticky notes by? John, do you want to? All right, so we're gonna do this similarly to the first one that we did yesterday. So the first question is, what worked well this year that you would want to continue doing in future discussion? And it can be more than one word, it can be just like a concept or phrase.
One word, right? Oh, no, no.
Or
one word.
phrase. Phrase, okay.
I was like, one word, that's. I'm gonna be very. Okay, well, thank you.
Are they like colored up or like?
It's like a nail color.
Wrong a little bit?
How do, it's just a nail polish. They normally try to.
Are those your real nails?
No, they're like,
Press on?
they're the, gellets. So they come already kind of built like that, and they just put them with the gel and then they shape, but they, because they don't have to build it from here, most of the time they get so thick and
And
they
then
don't
they
look
put like
good.
a powder, right, to kind of get it that foamy.
And this one's a polish. So it's like a, they do like 2 coats of like a milky color and then like a, almost like a sparkly.
Yeah, yeah.
For my wedding, they did more like a chrome color they had that's like a, almost there's like a purple greenish kind of thing. They didn't have it at.
No, they're so lovely.
All right, does everyone have theirs in? Omar, if you have any reflections, you can type them and I'll add them. Okay. A lot of related things up here. Who wrote the tiered process for selecting your teams?
Yeah, I was just thinking about like these different stages, even through it in the beginning too, but even like this, just I heard multiple people just like talking about it and saying how much of a more effective and efficient process it is. So it just seems like a very positive thing. A lot of people are, I can't compare it, so.
Yeah, this process was definitely a lot better than last year. And a lot of grantees were able to be talked about with equal time and then instead of. So we wrote 40% talent, 40% of opportunities, and 20% that to discuss.
Wrote that. It was me, same thing, just like the process of it worked really well where I just appreciated everyone. Like, trust and respect for one another, that like whatever the top 40% was, that's what it was, and we didn't answer
Mhm.
about it.
Right,
Mhm.
that's what it was scored, and it's moving on.
Yeah, and then this second part or third part or whatever. Was like,
How are we on time?
We can do maybe like 7 or 8 more minutes for the first question.
Okay, how much?
Yeah.
Okay, so board members openness to intersectionality of programs. Any gaps? And how do you feel like this year was different from the previous year?
I think maybe in the past, people were more tired of like, this organization does this, rather like, oh, let's look deeper. They actually serve this much percentage in this community, they fit within this gap of the category, should we bring them up? And just openness to like see beyond. I think Danny said it very much like what your expertise or who you're representing and being able to see the intersectionality.
Being able to refine the areas specifically.
Yeah, and it's along with the trust, like I trust you guys to see this and like all the gaps from the community that I represent might not be there. But I trust the judgment of other people that review those applications to see that those communities were represented.
Okay, let's go compare a little bit to maybe not this like process that we had today, but the process before we even got to this point. So letter of interest application, these both look like the same handwriting, you wrote that.
I wrote application, that I liked the application this year and the questions that we asked. I felt like I was able to really get an understanding of work and what the organization was all about. And I liked the, how we switched like the timeline and the budget before were kind of like tied together, and now those were two separate things, which I think helped make things clearer. And we asked them like clarifying questions. So I thought the application was good this year.
All right, and who wrote the letter of interest? You both have very similar handwriting.
I spaced out a little bit. I've received feedback from prospective applicants that the letter of interest for them helps cut down on the amount of time that they have to dedicate to the application. Putting together, thinking through a whole budget before submitting something, and then having that in between time from notification if they're selected to move on to the second round, that they can think through their application even further. And I think for us as well internally, that we helped us cut down the number of applications that we read as well, because those first years, we read so many applications, going through all the budgets, and thank you to all the state agency representation here. Me reading through all those, they just at a certain point blend all together. So it helps board members just kind of go through the process, and prospective applicants have really appreciate that aspect to where they can dedicate a proportional amount of time to where they are in the process.
Right, thank you. Yeah, and then we did have someone write less applications to read, so there's some connection to that as well. And then who wrote Survey Monkey?
I put that down, and we've done that 2 years now, and it just streamlined the process, made it much easier to score and then to submit. So and then all of that, Andrea could check and make sure that we were doing something.
All right.
And he got the gold star this year for finishing first.
Did I really?
Yeah. Good job. Usually it's between you and John.
Oh, sorry. One thing I wanted to add that I liked this year too was that during the second process, we got the applications that we didn't read for the letter of interest. So it was nice because during the second round, I felt like I was almost reading new applications.
Right.
I like that.
And I kind of want to take it back as well to some of the feedback that we got from last year and the previous year. I don't know if you guys remember, I put together that little graph of all of the feedback that applicants put for us. And some of that was like, can you refine the letter of interest? Can you make the application better? So it looks like on both fronts, we were able to do that, which is super good. And even just the entire process. And I know last year was my first year with the OEGP, but this year we definitely, I feel like, refined everything super well. We had a really good system. And I think from what I can see, I would give this process from the last 2 days like an A for how we just smooth sailed through it. Is there anything that anyone wants to bring up that they think we could do better? Oh, and the next question. Look at that. If you guys want to go ahead and write that down. Oh, you were ready.
Did you take notes on the side and then save them? Or did you do it? Sorry.
I just put it,
Okay.
really only put.
It's putting my head out. And I was just thinking to me, I'm like.
Like more notes, like to that.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
So. I don't know if I have one. I'll maybe just agree with them better.
You don't have one?
No,
Oh, okay.
but I probably agree with them.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, all of these are very different from each other. And we can take some time to really, as much time as we have, to dive in a little bit. The first one, let's branch out from meeting at CPW headquarters. I definitely.
oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I feel like there's been some discussion about that. If anyone has any places that they know of to have
The
meetings.
Alliance Center, I'm a board member there. It's like an environmental building. It's really nice. The only thing parking sometimes a little harder, but they do have a lot next to it. Also highly encourage public transit.
Our need is just to have like the hybrid meeting option.
They have
so
all
that-
they have the owl, the the fans.
They're
This.
really nice.
Yeah.
And then the GoCo office is also available, and there's a nice, up there, affordable Hampton Inn, 1 block away.
I put that up there and I'll,
For myself too.
I think that if we're, like, when we have met at CPW offices outside of the state, that's fine. Because we're meeting the staff, we're making those new connections, and I think that's perfectly fine. But here, I don't think this this, um,
Okay.
I think that I have an ulterior motive for leaving CPW. And I also don't think we go anywhere. I think we need to, if this is an opportunity to engage a possible partner in funding with this. So we should ask, the wealthy people that are around this, that we know that are part of this, if they have homes that we can be at, we could ask the Colorado Health Foundation to host us. Right, it's an opportunity to start to be in front of people and for our names to come up and what we're doing. So it's really not an altruistic. It really is to sort of for
Make
people
the
to.
connections with philanthropy. And the-
That's right. And I don't mean just like institutions. I mean, people have big, beautiful homes and we could be part of their philanthropy but they don't know us and they don't know, what we're doing. And, so I just think we just want to sort of work that angle, which
Businesses.
absolutely,
I'm thinking about Denver
absolutely.
Athletic Club. I'm a member, but they donate a lot of their equipment to different places. Can we start making those?
Yeah, I think about Excel Energy just moved to a new building in Rhino and I was just told, oh, we make that available to community. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. But for them to know what we're doing, for us to be in their presence is just stewarding the.
Creating community ties, and this is kind of going into the second point that you wrote on your statement of any, using the opportunity to build partnership.
That wasn't mine. Was it? Oh, yeah, the second point, yeah. I just
I think we can start to build a list of locations
Mhm.
within Denver and across the state.
Mhm.
And then we can start to target or pull from those for future.
Mhm.
Free and, it's a great spot too.
As
Other
beautiful
cool
as 6060 Broadway?
Well, I mean, they don't have as much taxidermy. But they do have a little.
Stuffed animal.
I did put a note for myself to reach out to you guys via email, and then we can all just,
Mhm.
you guys can just email me,
Mhm.
whatever thoughts you have. And we can
Well, I mean, it's also, I want to say it's not, I don't mean it to be more work for you because I
No,
think
no.
that's actually a perfectly good thing for a board member
Yeah.
to pursue, to do the ask and then the logistics you all can do. But I think
Right.
it's perfectly okay for board members to use their own connections to make this request and to, so it doesn't mean that you have to go out and try to research it.
just organizing
Yeah.
whatever inputs, I guess, is what I would think. Okay, so who put repetitive questions in the second round? Rita, you wanna elaborate?
Yeah, I think, when we were doing the second round review, I felt like question 5, 7, and I think 8 kind of started sounding, I know they were asking for different things, and I felt like I was in a way, it was like the same kind of question, and it's just like,
We're talking about the application, right?
yeah, are we not?
No, I would just wanna make sure that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from this year now, yeah.
So maybe there's a way in which we can, the questions can be altered a little bit. I just felt like it was kind of getting at the same thing in a different way. So.
Okay. More short, sweet, to the point, but also unique.
Or maybe 1, 2 less questions.
Alright. Make it faster for applicants to hear back.
I wrote that.
Okay.
I think it's just something we can continue to streamline on our review time process. Because from April to December is a long time for folks to be waiting to hear back.
Yeah. Continue to advocate for additional staff support in the program, or the program.
And that one was great having that that continuity with Selena. And we just need to have consistent supports for the program so that Andrea isn't like overwhelmed with all of our asks, and then with all the grantees and prospective people and other groups that come. So there's some way that the board can continue to work on that in some way. That'd be great. One more since I'm on my sticky notes.
Yeah. Is there stuff?
No, I just thought of it, be reaching out to local community foundations from this year. Just to do that outreach to more areas and states, just usually because those small community foundations are the like more localized foundational donation supports that rural communities have. So I thought that could be good. Don't know how it actually went this year, if anybody answered in their applications that, oh, we heard this opportunity through this piece here. And I can continue to try to help to get just the general info emails for those community foundations and share them with you all so that you can just pull from it when the time comes for sharing applications.
Okay. Awesome. And I wrote that up here too, so you make sure you didn't miss that. Onboarding process for new board members. I feel like that's really relevant right now.
That was me, but that was not like something that needs to be improved. It's just more thinking about, we have 4 new, that's a lot of people. So just, I don't know, making sure we have a solid onboarding process so that, because there's also now 4 years that those people will not have the benefit of. And so what's the best way for us to get them up to speed so that their first meeting and their first retreat is not so, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, we're about to dive into that soon, so I'm sure you guys will be hearing from Andrea about this.
I had another thing I wanted to add, but you know, we don't have any money, so it's for when we have money. But I actually think it's super important. Like, it would be really good if we, like every so often, I'm not gonna say every year, because that's pretty intensive, but even like this year that we have this milestone 10 million, that we have 4 years, you know, all of that. It would be really important to like take Andrea's annual report and like take it on a roadshow, right? To policymakers, to county people, to city council members, to right, and the reason it has to be done, it would cost money, is because you would have to extract the overall information that you have. We'd have to extract it for each county that we're serving, each city that we're serving. But I mean, we have to build the will of what this is doing outside, like in policy, like people who vote, you know, like, so I just feel like we need to, this it requires people, right? To go and sit with each city that we have supported should know. We should have an hour with them to say, the Outdoor Equity Board has brought this much money to your community. It's helped these of your kids, right? Like each one of them. But that is, I mean, that takes people, effort, you know, all of that. I mean, it's all based on what you put together, but so I just think that that's something for the parking lot for when there is money for a consultant to do something like that, or, but I mean, and that you can deploy out board members too. That's what board members should be doing, right? Like, I'm gonna take 3 council members from Denver and I'm gonna like all the people, all the council people that do Elaria, Swansea, I mean, we fund those communities big time. And they should know that, because one day something's gonna come on the ballot that that we're gonna need them for. And I just want them to know the work that's being done on behalf of their communities.
And I don't have to mess with board and nonprofit experience.
Can you speak up a little bit?
I don't have too much philanthropy experience. Can you explain? I think I heard you and correct me if I'm wrong. I want to understand like the objective of doing something like that. Is it for like back that happening to the board and the support and therefore, like I'm just trying to understand the purpose of going to like politicians, people and being like, hey, this is how much money you brought to your and is it just like to remind us the importance of supporting a board like this or a grant program like this?
It's to build their will in the future to support this work that we're doing. And you don't do that just one time. You have to, it's to build a relationship that could help us in the future, right? It's to.
Years like this year, we're very happy to be added to the budget, you know?
Right.
before it's up
Can we come
office,
to
and we
you?
will by the elected to know that if you don't vote for it, we're not a holding accountable board or anything like that, but if they know this is many community members in their district that are benefiting from this program, they better vote to continue to fund the program. You
Or
know?
support it, or send us a letter of support, or call somebody to say, hey, you know, this has been really good for my community, right? Yeah, like and we don't know what's gonna happen in the future, so you're just building it so that you have it when you need something.
In the future, there is, you know, we have way more money that's coming from the lottery and we can expand our cap. Can we do that? You know what I mean? I'm just like then we need more of that will and support from those elected to say, yeah, we're willing to put an extra million in the budget in this, we want to raise your cap.
There's another example, local governments has influence at their capital too, because they engage with policy advocacy groups or lobbyists too.
Like the motorized vehicle thing that we saw, that you need to change that policy to be able to have motorized
in
vehicles.
like this last time for adjusting the designation of funding from the lottery account for the OEGP board.
Yeah.
I talked to our county commissioners and like got them to see like, hey, the board's invested this much money in the community. These are the organizations that benefit these low income populations. Do you want to send in supports for the legislation? And then after we get to understand that, just send that over. Because they have influence in local government numbers too that go to the county.
All right, maybe one more. All right, so adding themes for consideration, outdoor experiences, school outings, workforce development.
Yeah, it was me. And this was actually kind of going off what I think it was Benny that said it.
Oh,
but
yeah.
The bike rack piece, that last one.
Yeah.
Cause that would be really cool, like I'm a very visual person. This has all been like amazingly helpful. And then I think even like adding that one more component, and that could just be a column, like for your family, more work. But just to get on there and be like, oh, we can visually just see like, out of these 24, 3 were workforce development, 4 were outdoors, like recreation opportunities and stuff like that. And I think that's in itself too another great visual representation, storytelling in itself. So that was just all. That's all that was.
Maybe another area of opportunity to fund.
Let's just see if there's gaps, right? Like that's just another opportunity to see if there's a gap. So that's all. I think it's a simple little column.
This doesn't have to be something that the board moves forward with, but just from conversation that we've had in the past around solidifying what the geographic areas are for grant making. Like the first year we started, we were looking at the CPW regions map, which is based on watershed.
Yeah.
And there are cultural and social and economic ties that just don't make sense within those groupings, and then we've just like through our knowledge and from our experience, been able to kind of nail down these different portions. That could be something on the back burner for the board to continue to look at if that was something of interest. When the lottery came and presented, when we had our retreats in Colorado Springs, Adrian showed us the lottery map, and that one was a really good one, how it was designed. Yeah. So just something for future consideration as well, if it felt like that needed to be sorted.
One thing I will add is the way that I'm thinking about like opportunity areas. So we have a few categories on here. Some of them are just straightforward, the populations that we serve based on the legislation, and then we have the opportunity areas. So when we decided the opportunity areas this year, that was really focused on like looking at historical data from the first 4 rounds and deciding where funding should be focused this year. I think we'll have to go through that process again at the beginning of next year, especially I think that I didn't mention it for reflection on the process, but I think being intentional about the categories was really helpful and helped the board like think about those opportunity areas from the beginning of the process until the end. So I think it would be helpful to just do another scan at the beginning of next year and see like, oh, maybe Metro Denver, because it's less represented this year, would want to be, you know, like we can be flexible with those opportunity areas and be responsive to the most recent round of funding.
All right.
I really like what Betty said about like, and I'm gonna follow this, but something about totally locked down. Like places we are intentionally left out of, or like sports or activities that like were clearly not designed for us, and how like to encourage bravery in those spaces. So I don't know if that's like by activity or you know, something like that. As an opportunity area. Yeah.
So like you're like we would add things like fly fishing, right? Like that's really not, I mean, regular fishing is more accessible, but fly fishing is really like we don't have a lot of ways to get into that. And so should that be something we should be looking at? Or I mean, that's kind of how I felt about alpine skiing, but I feel like we've done a really good job at opening up access to alpine skiing with this money, you know, but there are activities that, I mean, I think a Beast Fingers was a good example. I mean, people like that rock climbing is not a place where, or climbing in general. We don't even see
That's true. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but we do have an ongoing spreadsheet of all the years that we have funded, and then it's broken down into tabs by population, geographic, and programs funded. So maybe we can update that, but it has all the like the total amount of money that we funded towards those programs.
Yeah.
And maybe if we updated it and like send it back out.
Yeah,
can
we
use
could
that to
see.
create like a new.
Yeah, we could see.
Vision of like where we put future funding.
I feel like we've done, like in our first year, I remember hunting. And hunters of color, I think won in the first round because they said specifically we're gonna get women out hunting. And we were all like, oh yeah, women are actually not out hunting, you know, and they were very specific about breaking that barrier.
I think that just hunting in general has declined.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's from what was 20 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And then with fly fishing, we don't see too many applications
Mm-mm.
that, I mean, there's only been a few.
Yeah.
That have actually mentioned fly fishing
Yeah.
and it's, I think it's accessible.
And we can capture that and, you
Yeah.
know, put that towards like even our outreach and maybe
Mhm.
make sure that we outreach to organizations or communities that do those programs that may benefit from applying for mixed use funding. Okay, cool. Does anyone else have any feedback or comments they want to add?
Just thank you to y'all for the share.
Incredible.
Yeah, I think it's important. Now more than ever, this work that we have to do. Okay.
Woohoo.
Meeting adjourned.
Like forever? Like is it like I'm done?
Well, before the day.
Technically, yeah, we're done with work right now.
Mandatory fun.
Is there?
Mandatory fun.